Hey guys, welcome to Pocket Saga. So in today's video we are gonna see, what if Ash and Serena were reincarnated by Arceus in Sinnoh? Part 5, Final. This story is Ash's Hisui story by the respected author Raichu. Make sure to show some love for their work. Before starting, if you are interested in Pokemon fanfictions, you can consider subscribing this channel and like this video. That keeps me motivated to upload more. Now let's dive in. Ash, Serena, Adaman, Irida, and Lien arrive at the Primeval Grotto, the place where Ash and Serena caught an Alpha Probopass. They enter the cave and they notice some fossils lying on the ground and some stones which are glowing red. What a curious cave. I feel some extraordinary power here, as if the world itself was created in this very place. Irida says. What do you think, Lien? Lien thinks for a while and says, taking into consideration my knowledge of ores, my skill at mining, and the strength of my Sligoo's moves, I think you'd better leave any extraction work up to us, wouldn't you say? Please do so, Lien. Serena replies. But just before they can do so, they hear a voice that they really don't like to hear. We're going to have to ask you to stop right there. The misfortunes are now in their way again as Ash and Serena groan, while Adaman and Irida roll their eyes. During their travels to capture Pokemon, they would either find one of them and have to be forced to battle them. Even though they might drop a lot of soft sands and big nuggets on the way, Ash and Serena feel like they're just another Team Rocket. Oh, come on. We don't have any time to waste with you guys, Adaman says. Look, you can carry on digging out that treasure you're after, and then you'll give it to us, Charm says. Like we will give it to you, Ash says as Pikachu's cheeks are sparking. I don't know why you even look surprised. It's not as if you were hard to follow, Coin replies. That's because you guys keep stalking us. Irida mutters. What we seek may be as precious as treasure, but this isn't about how valuable it is. We need it to restore this awful sky to normal. That earnest goody two-shoes act of yours is what made me leave the Pearl Clan in the first place, Coin says. Enough. I don't care why any of you ran off to play bandit, but I won't let you get in Lien's way. Adaman yells. There are 3 of you and 5 of us. Let's go. I'll take care of Clover. Irida, you with Coin. Ash and Serena, you take Charm. Who are you to boss me around? Irida rolls her eyes. But fine, I'll listen to you this time. Adaman sends out his Umbreon while Irida goes with Espeon. The 2 of them are now fighting Clover's Abomasnow and Coin's Toxicroak. As for Ash and Serena, they're facing Charm and she says, I bring good luck to my sisters wherever I go, and ill luck to anyone who crosses our paths. I'm the eldest, and I'll be your unlucky charm. Especially in this, the battle of a lifetime. I wonder why do those villains like to say a lot of stupid things? Ash mutters. A true villain would just act before they talk. I agree. Serena says as they go with Floatzel and Weavile to battle her Raiden and Gengar. Ash says, Serena, you and Weavile handle the Gengar. I'll handle Raiden. Okay. Serena nods. Ash's Floatzel goes with Aqua Jet to slam Raiden, causing it to roar in pain. Raiden goes with the Rock Slide, making it flinch a little, but Floatzel goes with the Ice Punch, knocking the Pokemon out with ease. As for Gengar, Weavile gets hit by Hypnosis, causing it to get drowsy, but Weavile lands Icy Wind to make Gengar frostbitten, and then finishes with a Night Slash. Well, you are rather formidable. Charm sighs. Then they also notice how Adaman and Irida knock out all of their opponent's Pokemon. Adaman says, come on, Clover. Why not come back to the Diamond Clan? Times are changing. We're changing. And we could really use someone as strong as you are. Are you joking? I've got no interest in living back in that place, with all its stupid rules, Clover yells back. Coin adds, look. We'll let you keep your treasure this time, but you'd better do something about that sky. You are as strong as ever, Ash and Serena. Maybe you really can do something about that monstrous creature at the top of the mountain. Charm says. But even if you do, the next time we meet, you won't escape without a beating. Remember that. Then they throw smoke bombs and leave without a trace. Adaman sighs, honestly, those 3. What did they even come here for? Oh well. I'll heal up everyone's Pokemon. While Adaman is healing up their Pokemon, Irida frowns. The Coin that I remember never hesitated to help someone in need, even if she groused as she did so. I suspect they may have been worried about us. perhaps even wanting to help. Then they should have just said so. What a pain they are, hiding behind all that attitude, Adaman mutters. Lien says, we should stop wasting more time. He has Sliggoo use Ironhead on the surface, causing some other rock formation on the surface to fall to the ground, revealing red stones. Lien also takes out his axe and starts mining. The movements. They sure look just like him, Ash says. Clay, the Driftvay gym leader. I don't think I know who you are talking about, but I guess so, Serena says. After Lien puts some stones into the bag, he says, I was able to extract some of that origin ore, or whatever it is you wish to call it. I suppose it had better go with you, Ash and Serena. Ash takes a bag of some origin ore, and Adaman says, that was surprisingly easy. No, you simply failed to recognize my skill. You ought to be praising my hard work, honestly. Lien mutters. I knew we could count on you, Lien. No wonder Clever recognizes you as a worthy warden. Arita cheers. Let's hurry back to Mr. Professor and show him what we got. Adaman says as they nod. That Laventon's got sound judgment, plus the knowledge to space, despite his silly streak. Then they rush back to the summit camp and find Professor Laventon. After showing him the stone, he says, so this is the stone of creation's beginning. The origin ore. Yes, one can certainly feel an imposing aura emanating from it. Could this be the feeling of the very origin itself? I've been meaning to ask since you brought that up, but the origin of what exactly? Adaman asks. Of everything, by the sound of it. Arita says. Exactly, my girl. Laventon says. Now then, back we go to Jubilife Village. Everyone rushes back to the Galaxy Hall with the carriages, and then they go to Laventon's lab and place the shattered red chain on the table. Adaman says, all right, Mr. Professor. It's all in pieces now, but this is what's left of the red chain. Splendid. Even in pieces, I think we'll find it's still perfectly fit for purpose. Laventon says. We're jolly lucky you had the foresight to pick up all these broken bits back at the temple. Akari turns to Ash and Serena, your turn. Next comes the stone of creation's beginning. Ash puts the bag of the origin ore on the table, and Laventon says, the fragments of the red chain, collected at great personal risk by the Diamond Clan. Then the stone of creation's beginning, which we only learned of thanks to the Pearl Clan. And now it is time for the Galaxy team to play its part and turn these items into a proper vessel. He turns to Akari and says, Akari, my girl. You are one of our team's greatest craftspeople. Could I ask you to do the honors? Akari nods and says, this is my true battlefield, even if it may be safe indoors. This may take us some time. Perhaps the rest of you had the best wait outside while we work, Laventon says. Ash and Serena nod as they all head outside. Then Ash and Serena decide to speak with Palkia again. Ash says, Palkia. I want to ask you something. Serena and I have been thinking about your words, but we find something strange about it. If Dialga has gone mad because of the special power, why haven't you also gone mad? What do you mean, Chosen? Palkia asks. I mean, the fact that you come to the same place as Dialga right now, you were also acting almost the same like Dialga before we used the red chain on you. Ash says. So I want you to tell me the whole truth. Palkia sighs and says, what I said wasn't actually wrong, but I could also feel the same power trying to affect me. Maybe I also created those frenzy noble Pokemon or alpha Pokemon, just that I didn't know. Just great. Serena says. Palkia says, to tell you the truth, I want to save Dialga as well, even if it means using my full power. Full power? What do you mean by that? Ash asks. Giratina wasn't the only one who has origin form and alter form. We also have our alter forms, and I know for sure Dialga would be into that state once we fight. Palkia's alter form? I have never seen it before, Serena says. Me neither. Ash says. After Palkia goes to rest, Adaman mutters, come on, Mr. Professor. Wish they'd hurry it up in there. I'm starting to suspect all your prattling about the value of time is a cover for your own impatience. Arita mutters. If sitting back and waiting actually solved things, I'd sit forever, because that'd be using time well, unlike this, Adaman says. We've done it, Ash and Serena. It's complete. Laventon rushes towards them, and he says, I dubbed it. The origin ball. If the message conveyed to our good clan leader can be believed, then this should allow you to catch the Pokemon that has appeared at the Temple of Sinnoh. As they look at the Origin Ball, Ash says, I think this looks like Cherish Ball. But whatever. These Pokeballs of yours are full of wonders. Arita says. To think the fate of all Hisui could rest in something so tiny. It's interesting how catching a Pokemon in one of these things brings the two of you close together, Adaman adds. Not to mention, Palkia is willing to lend its own strength to us in this battle, Serena says. This should be great. Now that's what I like to hear, Adaman says. The Pearl Clan's almighty Sinnoh. Well, I guess I should just call it Palkia, is one fierce Pokemon. Everything's ready now, Ash and Serena. Laventon says. Take the Origin Ball and hurry back to the Temple of Sinnoh together with Palkia. Ash and Serena nod as they quickly rush out of the Galaxy Hall along with the others, as they're trying to get to the Temple of Sinnoh to fight against Dialga. Ash and the others are now heading towards the Temple of Sinnoh, when Adaman, Arita, Ash, and Serena are the only ones left to go onto the carriage. They're stopped by Kajita and, much to Ash's surprise, Ash's mother Delia. She is wearing an ancient kimono that fits into the village, and Ash can't help but look in awe at how perfected she looked. Mom? Miss Kajita? Ash asks. And here you are, lost ones. Ready to face your fate atop Mount Coronet? Kajita says. It seems a vicious battle might await you. We'll go where we must. Serena says. Oh, well said. Kajita says. Delia steps forward and says, Ash and Serena. I want you two to promise me, please make sure you are safe and sound. I know you might get some injuries during the fight just like those frenzy Pokemon inflicted you. But I wish we can all go back to our world together. I promise, Mom, Ash says as he gives her a hug. Kajita says, now, hearken to my words, young ones. Time cannot be served from space, nor space from time. The being you will encounter at the Temple of Sinnoh is Dialga, ruler of all time. It is allowed to run wild, time itself will twist and bend here in Hisui, and eventually, the very world may be broken. But you have the aid of its counterpart, Palkia, the ruler of space. And therein lies hope. The balance will be brought to time and space, and the world can once again be as it should. Now, take Palkia at your side and make for the Temple of Sinnoh once more. The four of them nod as they see Kajita leaves. Before she does so, she says, I must say, this is quite the intriguing village. Perhaps I'll have a look around before I go see what your clothier has on offer. Excuse me? Is this the time for shopping? Adaman asks. Well, I'll hardly have time for shopping if the world ends, will I, young man? Kajita replies. Fair point. Adaman nods. Arita turns to them and says, all right, Ash and Serena. Once you feel ready, set out. We have for the Temple of Sinnoh once more. And it turns out that Delia is also coming with them as she wants to see how her son and her future daughter-in-law are doing in the battle. At first, Ash was concerned because what if Delia is seen by Commander Kamado and the others, but Delia assures that she won't be doing something to change the past, as Arceus has given her the approval. But just as they arrive at the Temple of Sinnoh, they are stopped by Volo again. Just the boy I've been waiting for. I know you can buy various sundries at the base camp, but I thought it might be helpful to you if I set up here, closer to the temple. I want to have front row seats if there's a chance to see into the world of myth and legend. I'll probably be creeping even closer to the action once the battle actually begins. Are you sure that's okay? Serena asks. Oh, but you won't have to worry about me. I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself. And besides, I know all too well the strength of you and your Pokemon. I've got no doubt you'll have this whole thing tied up in a neat bow before I could possibly be in any danger. They nod as they all rush up to the temple, where Kamado and the others are waiting for them. When Kamado asks who Delia is, Ash tells him that she is his mother and she is here to watch over both him and Serena. Kamado nods in approval and promises not to let her get involved in the fight they're having. For so long, I thought that I had to eliminate any outside element that might threaten the people of Jubilife Village. Whether that meant banishing you or seeking to destroy the Pokemon of the temple, I felt it was my only path. But you've shown me that I was wrong to think in such a way. Are you ready for this challenge? We are ready to fight, Ash says as Serena nods. Arita says, Ash and Serena. In all of the vast space, your place has found you. What in the world does that mean? Adaman asks. It's a Pearl Clan saying. It reminds us that occasions we must rise to are also stages where we may prove ourselves, where we might shine our brightest. So basically, you're saying not to feel nervous. I'm starting to see the appeal of how you Pearl Clan people think. In some situations, anyway. Adaman nods. We will support you in whatever way we can, though I doubt you'll need it. Kamado adds. Ash and Serena. Protect Hisui and her people. Protect time and space for her Pokemon. You bet. Ash and Serena nod as they walk towards Dialga. Dialga, now in frenzy, roars as it shoots out yellow light. Ash also sends out Palkia as he is also covered with the yellow light. Once the lights fade, Ash and Serena are shocked to see both Dialga and Palkia becoming something so different. So these are the origin forms of Dialga and Palkia, Ash and Serena gasp. They really look like Arceus kin, Serena says. At the same time, the ones in the Ether Foundation are watching the whole thing, and they are shocked to see what happened to Dialga and Palkia. Dawn says, I have never seen those two looking just like that. Me neither. Brock adds. Palkia says to Ash and Serena, ride on me, I'll try to bring you close to Dialga so you can throw those origin ores like they're bombs. Okay. Ash and Serena are now riding Palkia like he is some sort of horse as they try to run around Dialga. But Dialga roars as it goes for Draco Meteor, trying to hit Palkia and the two humans on his back. Watch out, it is going for shockwaves. Serena says as Palkia jumps into the air to dodge the attack, and then they continue to use the chance to throw the bombs. And then, Dialga is going to charge with Roar of Time, and Palkia takes the hit, almost causing both Ash and Serena to fall off. Serena. Are you okay? Ash asks with concern. I'm fine, what about you, Palkia? Serena asks. I can take this, but hold on tight. Ash and Serena nod as they see Palkia jump into the air, using the left front leg to do a spatial rend, and it strikes Dialga hard. Just great. Dialga is Steel and Dragon type. That Steel type neutralized the Dragon type weakness, Ash mutters. But we can't just give up until it is over. This is the hardest fight that we would ever face, Serena says. Yeah, as long as Palkia is safe, we will be safe as well, Ash says. Pikachu, use Electro Ball to get Dialga's attention. Pikachu nods as he fires the attack, and then Dialga tries to use Flash Cannon to destroy the Electro Ball, and at the same time, Palkia goes with the Hydro Pump to get Dialga damaged a little so Ash and Serena can continue to throw bombs at it. Back in the Ether Foundation, Chloe says, I can't believe this. Ash and Serena were fighting Pokemon like they were ones. Well, if you don't know, this is their 6th time doing that, Lily says. 6th time? You mean Ash and Serena did 5 other battles like that and they managed to survive? Go asks. Talk about good luck. Well, they did get some cuts, bruises, burnt, paralysis, and freezing effects after battling in those 5 times. Gladian says, causing Lily to glare at him. You're not helping, brother. And after a while, Ash and Serena throw the last 2 bombs at Dialga, causing it to fall to the ground with pain. Serena says, Ash, the Origin Ball. Let's go. Ash yells as he throws the ball at Dialga. Dialga just stares at the ball before getting sucked inside. The red light forms into a sphere with the chain-like light surrounding it. Once the light dies down, the Origin Ball shakes for a while until a ding sound appeared, signaling the capture. We did it. Ash and Serena hug each other after jumping down from Palkia. Just then, they look up at the sky and see that the red light is about to disappear. The sky is getting back to normal and the space-time rift is about to disappear. Back in the modern world, the time is also setting back to normal as people who were turned to infant or Pokemon who turned into eggs are now back into their own size, and the red sky is also getting back to normal. Ash and Serena did it. Dawn cheers. Way to go, Bonnie cheers. And back in the past, Arita says, they caught it. They really did it, didn't they? My eyes aren't lying, right? They actually went and caught it? Adaman adds. Yes, oh, good show. Watch a catch. You contained that fearsome thing in the Origin Ball. Laventon says. Absolutely astounding as ever, Ash and Serena. Palkia roars as it changes back to normal. In a weakened state, Ash decides to return the Pokemon back into the Ultra Ball. Adaman turns to Arita and smiles. Finally. Arita also smiles back at Adaman. Akari says, formidable as usual, Ash and Serena. Delia hugs Ash and Serena and says, you two are fine, that's great, thank you. Mom. We couldn't breathe. Ash and Serena mutter as Delia is hugging them tight. Kamado just turns around and cries. Adaman notices it and says, so even the commander sheds a tear now and then. Never thought I'd see the day. Yes, what a sight to have witnessed, Arita adds. HRRMPH. Kamado wipes the tears away and shows his stern face to both the clan leaders. Then he suddenly throws Adaman and he gets slammed into the pillar. Big bro Adaman, are you alright? Ash asks as he tries to help him up. Ouch. What gives, Commander? Not sure I deserved a sumo throw. Adaman complains. HRRRM. Well, at least it seems this is no dream. He turns to everyone and says, listen up, all of you. We faced a calamity unlike any we have known. But we were able to overcome it by working as one. This calls for a celebration. A festival for us all. Gather your clans. This will be the greatest celebration Hisui has ever seen. Celebrate. With the Diamond Clan? Arita gasps. The two clans together, huh? Adaman gasps as well. Well, since it turns out we were both following a true almighty Sinnoh of our own. I guess the times when we'd fight over whose was wrong or right are ancient history now. I'm sure our ancestors would be shocked to see us agree. Arita says. But this may well be the best path toward protecting the space we all share. Let us celebrate. For today dawns a new day for all those who live in the Hisui region, Kamado says. Before they leave the temple, Ash and Serena look up at the sky and smile, before Delia calls them to move on. A day has passed after Ash and Serena capture Dialga and Palkia to save the whole world. They know for sure that the Pokédex has not completed yet, and they haven't gathered every plate as they miss the Fist Plate, Stone Plate, Spooky Plate, Iron Plate, Draco Plate, Dread Plate, and Pixie Plate. Delia also decides to stay at Ash and Serena's quarters, as they really need some support from her. Ash and Serena, as the 9-star rank members, as they are heading outside from their quarters. Akari greets them and she says, good morning, Ash and Serena. It looks like the space-time rift has vanished. The sky's gone back to normal again. Which I suppose means we'd better get back to our original mission. Completing the Pokédex. You're right about that. Ash says. We're going to meet in the Survey Corps office to discuss our next steps. See you there soon, Ash, Serena. Akari says as she rushes to the Galaxy Hall. Serena says, well, should we tell her that we already have all the normal Pokémon in the Pokédex? Might as well, since we only need legendary and mythical Pokémon, Ash nods. In the Galaxy Hall, Silene asks the two. So, I trust you enjoyed yourself at the festival. We did enjoy it a lot. Ash says. Indeed. That only seems natural, given the crowd, Silene says. I believe last night was the first time I've caught a glimpse of you making merry, Captain. Laventon comes and teases the captain. I believe you must be imagining things. Now, Professor Laventon, to business. What is the current state of progress on the Pokédex? Silene asks. I dare say we've made quite significant progress, all in all. Though we could afford to put a little more effort into our research tasks. And of course it is hard to know how far to go in pursuit of some reports. Certain Pokémon have only been mentioned in Hisui's legends, after all. Who knows if they're even real? With how little we know about Hisui's history and legends, it seems a tall order for us to tackle, Akari adds. Pardon, couldn't help but overhear. Just then, Volo goes into the hall. If it's Hisuian history and legends you want, then I'm your man. Volo? Ash and Serena are surprised to see him. Why, I've spent plenty of time studying such things instead of, ahem. I mean while also tirelessly doing my work for the Ginkgo Guild. And I've visited many of the ruins and whatnot here in the Hisui region already. I imagine I could teach you a thing or two about any Pokémon of legend in these parts. Oh ho. Music to my ears, my good fellow. Laventon nods. Listen well, Ash and Serena. You are to learn all you can from the merchant Volo and work together as needed. For the sake of the Pokédex. We, meanwhile, will also continue to gather intelligence on Pokémon by other means. Silene says. Understood. I'll set up at the Heights camp, then. Ash and Serena, I'll be expecting you. Besides, I've something I'd like to discuss with you too, so I hope you won't keep me waiting, Volo says as he leaves. Before leaving, they find a Lucario in the hall. When he growls at them, they hear a voice, "Something the matter, Lucario?" And then they notice a person who looks much like Riley walking into the hall. Ash gasps as he knows that Riley is one of his cousins. He says, "I'm Rai. You must be Ash and Serena that my mother spoke highly about. Nice to meet you." "Okay. Do we know your mother in some way?" Serena asks. "Oh, that's not something you should worry about. My mother usually lives in solitude. It was the first time I saw her among the crowd at the festival, and that's when she told me about you too. The ones who passed the trials to get the red chain," Rai says. Ash and Serena realize that the mother means Cogita. He is Cogita's son, and his Lucario turns to Rai and he asks, "What is it, Lucario?" Lucario turns to Ash and Serena as he growls again. "It seems Lucario sensed your strong aura, too. If you're willing to battle us, could you come to the training grounds?" "Sure." Ash and Serena nod as they go to the training grounds. Rai stands in front of Ash and asks, "I take it you're ready for our battle?" "You bet." Ash says. "Now then, let's forego the small talk and proceed right to battle. That's our style." Then they decide to have a Lucario versus Lucario battle. Ash's Lucario also senses a familiar aura in front of him, and their powers are also equal. Serena says, "This battle sure is tough. Maybe that's why he is also Ash's ancestor." But in the end, Rai's Lucario gets defeated with Ash's reckless style of battling by charging with close combat on the opposing Lucario. Rai rushes towards Lucario and says, "That was a wonderful battle. Seems we need to redo our training, Lucario." Lucario nods, and Rai turns to Ash. "Thank you for the experience. I can tell you've met many Pokemon, and that helped make you stronger. I think we'll test our skills in other places from now on. Let's meet again." After that, he gives them a grid rock before leaving. Ash says, "His aura. It was the same as Sir Aaron and I." Lucario also senses it. "Well, he did mention that you might be his descendant." Serena shrugs, "But remember, we have a merchant to meet at Obsidian Fieldlands." "You're right. Let's go," Ash says as they head to the Highlands camp. Once arriving there, Ash and Serena find Volo in front of the rock where Wardeer was standing when they first met, and he says, "Ash and Serena. There you are. Have a look here, if you will. A good, long, close look, please." Ash and Serena notice the words on the rock. It was the same as the words they found in Cobalt Coastlands when they tried to find Manaphy. "See these patterns modeled after Pokemon? I've come to think that they might be letters, rather like hieroglyphs, if you will. I've inspected ruins across the region and have concluded that they all seem to tell the same tale. The tale of a brave soul who, together with the Pokemon at his side, went on a journey to search for the fragments of an all-encompassing deity. Deimos." Ash remembers that he knew the story. He heard the same story when he was at Machina once. The brave soul must be Deimos, and they went on the journey because they want to find Arceus plates to save him. Yes. An all-encompassing deity, the creator of this very universe. And its name is Arceus. Perhaps you've already heard this name? Volo asks. Ash and Serena know what he is talking about, but for some reason, they don't want to tell everything to Volo as Serena says, "It does sound familiar." Of course. What else could I have expected from the heroes who saved the Hisui region? But now, let us discuss the fragments. They must surely be the plates. "The plates?" Serena asks. "Yes, the very plates you collected as you went about quelling all the frenzied nobles. Haven't you noticed that they all have words carved on their backs? Go on, give them a read." "We've already read them before," Ash says. "From the mind plate, it says the original one breathed alone before the universe came. This, original one, is none other than the Pokemon known as Arceus. So, what do you say, Ash and Serena? I think we should try to gather all the plates, and I've got just the idea where to start our search. Join me in the heart of Grueling Grove." When they arrive at the Grueling Grove, Volo says, "According to my own investigations." Before saying anything, they hear a growling as they see an Alpha Vespican approaching them. "An Alpha Vespican?" Serena gasps. "Terribly sorry, but do you think you could handle it?" Volo asks. Ash nods as he goes with Rampardos to battle the Alpha Pokemon. After several head smashes and rock slide, They manage to knock out Vespiquen and causing it to drop something and fly away. Ash picks up the thing on the ground and he is surprised. It is a stone plate, with the words, "It gathers power from the plates, listening for the flute's song." That's a stone plate. Serena says. Why did that alpha Pokemon have the plate we were looking for? Maybe it just happened to find the plate lying around. In any case, that's the only other plate that I had any information about, so. That's that. And yet nothing seems to be happening. Which makes me suspect there must still be more plates left out there for us to find. Indeed. There might be 6 more for us to find, Ash says. Not to worry though. I know the perfect person to ask. She's bound to know all about the plates, Volo says. Are you talking about Miss Cogita? Ash asks. The one and only, yes. You haven't had the chance to properly thank her for her help in obtaining the red chain, am I right? All the more reason to pay her a visit. So, onward to the ancient retreat. After getting there, they find Cogita sitting on her bed in the house, and she asks, "Oh, lost ones. It's miraculous what you've done. It seems the red chain served its purpose well. And you carried out your duty, as you were bid. But what brings you here? Have you yet need of me?" It's about Arceus. We want to know about the plates, Ash says. Ah, yes. A tale whose origins lie a millennium or 2 ago. Those were the days of the ancient Sinnoh people, from whom I am descended across many generations. These forebears of mine worshipped Arceus as the Pokemon that created the Hisui region. And I have heard of certain fragments, plates, as they are called, that were given to the ancestors of Pokemon such as Clever and Wordeer. Is that all? I thought that surely you could tell us more about Arceus and the plates, Volo asks. I'm afraid I've nothing new to tell you. Cogita shakes her head. Why, the Diamond and Pearl clans would never have confused Dialga and Palkia with the creator, Arceus, had anything concrete been passed down. If only we had more to go on. The answers to these mysteries may even shed light on why Ash and Serena here fell from the sky. Volo pleads. Aha. I see what you intend. Very well, I'll help as best as I can. Cogita sighs. There are still other tremendous Pokemon in Hisui. Other mysteries to be solved. Whether they are connected to Arceus, I cannot say for certain. But in searching them out, perhaps you'll stumble upon the path you seek. These are the Pokemon of the lakes, of course. And the Temple Giant. The Crescent Moon, the volcano. And perhaps you might even return to the very beginning. Ash widens his eyes and he realizes that he is talking about the Lake Guardians, Heatran, Regigigas, and Cresselia. But for the last one, they are not sure what she is talking about. Now, then. What would you hear of? Cogita asks. I can explain all 5 of them to you. First is the 3 lake Pokemon. We know for sure that they are Uxie, Mesprit, and Azulf, Ash says. Ah, yes. Them, you already know. Go give them your thanks for the red chain, and show them how strong you've become, Cogita says. So does that mean all 3 of them have 1 plate? Or does each of them have a plate? Serena wonders. I'm not sure. The next is Volcano, Ash says. Heatran might be the one. Well, where could that be but Firespit Island? Cogita replies. So we have to go to Firespit Island again. Irida must not like it, Serena chuckles. The Crescent Moon is the 3rd one. We know that it is Cresselia, Ash says. Yes, the moon. You must go where you may meet the moon's gaze unobstructed. Does that clue illuminate your path? Well, make for the Coronet Highlands, for now. Cogita asks. Not that Melly's arena. Serena mutters. I really don't want to see him again. But we have to. Ash sighs. The 4th one is the giant. We know that it might be Regigigas. The secret that lurks in Snowpoint Temple. To find it, you must open the door that is sealed. We did go to Snowpoint Temple. But where would the door be? Serena wonders. Now the last one we haven't heard about is the beginning, Ash says. Indeed. A beginning for you, certainly. Where was it you first fell to earth here? Cogita asks. The Prelude Beach. Serena gasps. Maybe one of the plates is there. It could be. Ash says. Done with your questions, are you? Very well, lost one. The rest depends on you and your efforts. It appears that the opening of the space-time rift compelled Pokemon that might otherwise have stayed hidden to come out and see what has befallen the world. I hope you succeed, for your own sake and for that of the Pokédex you labor on. Ash and Serena nod. And Volo says, I knew we could rely on you, Mistress Cogita. That's more than enough information to work with. Now, let's all find those plates. After leaving Ancient Retreat, Volo says, it's just as I had suspected. Pokémon are the key to our search, Ash and Serena. If we can gather all the plates from them and decipher the messages on the backs of the plates at last, perhaps we can meet Arceus itself. You should go search for the Pokémon that Cogita mentioned. What about you? Ash asks. I have my own adventures of research that I'd like to pursue, Volo says. Arceus, creator of Hisui. I truly can't wait to see what kind of Pokémon it might be. Ash and Serena notice something weird on Volo, but they decide to brush it off as they head back to Jubilife Village, but much to their surprise, they find Kamado, Adaman, and Arita waiting for them. What are you guys doing here? Serena asks. Adaman says, we heard from Silene about your progress. And we would want to see the time when the Pokédex is completed. Arita says, he's right, and I know you guys will go to a lot of new spaces that we haven't encountered. Kamado says, I've had a message from Mistress Cogita. I'm told you're collecting plates of some sort with the merchant Volo. Then we must go to Prelude Beach. Meet me there. Ash, Serena, Adaman, and Arita are confused as they follow Kamado to the Prelude Beach, the beginning of where Ash and Serena come to the Hisui region. Ash asks, Big Brother Adaman, do you know what Commander wants? I don't know. Maybe he knows one of those plates you were seeking? Adaman asks. But just as they get to the beach, they find Kamado in the suit of armor, and he says, Prelude Beach. Indeed a place of beginning. Now is not the time for words. Face me in battle. Now? But I just battled you yesterday? Ash asks. Then I'll do the honors. Serena says as she steps forward, after all, Ash did battle you, but not me. Kamado nods and his team was just the same as before, only with another new member. Heracross, but that Pokémon is defeated with ease by Serena's Honchkrow. The Pokémon are also defeated with the same team as Ash yesterday. Considering that both Ash and Serena share their Pokémon. You two are really close to each other, even the styles of your battling are much the same, Arita says. I know, more like I influenced her a lot, Ash says. You've both grown even stronger since we faced one another on Mount Coronet. It's clear you do not view Pokémon as dangerous enemies but rather as trustworthy allies. Allies with whom you can reach great heights. Perhaps you are a divine being yourself, sent to bring us gifts from above. That's exaggerating, Ash says as the others laugh a little. Here. You should have this. Kamado takes out one of Arceus' plates, the fist plate, which has the words on it, the rift is born of disorder on the other side of this world. Ash and Serena know that Dialga and Palkia were the cause of it. When the very first of our Galaxy Expedition team, myself, Benny, and the others, set foot on Prelude Beach, we found that plate. It clearly held some kind of power, and so I've kept it safe all this time. I find it fitting that it should now end up with you, who likewise arrived here on this same beach. Perhaps something is guiding us. Indeed, it must be so. You and I, Adaman, Arita. It'd appear we're all being guided by the one called Almighty Sinnoh. The Almighty Sinnoh is Arceus, right? Adaman asks Ash and Serena. We realized that Palkia and Dialga are not the Almighty Sinnoh, thanks to Volo. Arita sighs, but we don't mind at all. Well, it is true. Ash says. HRRM. It might be more appropriate to call this region the Sinnoh region. I know I've no right to say this. But we are truly fortunate to have been able to count you among the Survey Corps ranks. If you had not joined us, we would have fallen on Mount Coronet. We would have lost our home. We would have lost our future. Ash and Serena nod, and Kamado says, now then. Carry on with your survey work. The knowledge that you collect about the wild Pokémon of this region will serve to illuminate our path forward as we walk into the future. After Kamado leaves, Ash says, Sinnoh region is actually what we called this place in the future. Wait, really? Adaman asks. Yeah, I know for sure that Ash has traveled there, right? Serena asks. Yes, along with my friends Don and Brock. It is one of our memorable journeys, Ash says with a smile. By the way, can we see Dialga and Palkia again? Arita asks. I know it seems selfish, but we would want to see the Pokémon that we worshipped again. Sure. Ash says as he sends out the two Pokemon. Palkia and Dialga roar, then turn to Ash, who asks, Dialga, I know that you have saved Pikachu back in the future. But I want to ask, why were you in a frenzy and who turned you like this? Dialga sighs and says, this is not my place to tell. But when Father sent you two into the past with my powers, we were attacked. All 18 of Father's plates were scattered into the world just like you two. Attacked? But I thought Team Rocket or Team Galactic were destroyed. Who would have the wrong mind to attack you? Ash asks. Then he realizes something. Wait a second, 18 plates? I thought there are only 17. You don't think Father doesn't have a normal type plate, do you? Palkia rolls his eyes, so that's 18. Just great. Ash says, now back to the attack. You also have the origin form, can't you fight back? Palkia says, right now, we don't have the ability to change into our origin forms again. Our powers were drained in the last battle. Unless there is something that can restore our powers. Adaman and Arita widen their eyes and Adaman says, maybe there is something within our clans that can help you guys out. Yeah. Arita nods. We can try to find it. After recalling both legendary Pokemon, Serena says, but we still have a lot of questions. Who attacked Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia, causing them to either lose its plates or be frenzied? I think I want to know that as well, Ash says, but something's telling me that I'm forgetting something. If that's the case, maybe you'll remember once we try to gather all the other plates? Arita asks. That might do. Ash says. Oh, I can't forget to record Dialga's data. Dialga's research tasks. Number caught. 1. Times you have seen it use Iron Tail. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you have seen it use Roar of Time. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40 times you've seen it use a strong style move. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40 times you've seen it use an agile style move. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40. Hisui Dex entry number 235 Dialga. The temporal Pokemon. Steel and Dragon type. This Pokemon is revered as a deity in Hisuian legend. The birth of Dialga was what caused the vast river of time to begin flowing in our world. Then they arrive at the Obsidian Fieldlands as they are heading to Lake Verity to greet Mesprit. When they get into the cave, they find Mesprit there as it greets them. Hello again. Mesprit says. I know why you are here, but I want you to show me your strength before you try to do that. Ash and Serena widen their eyes as Mesprit is willing to let them capture it, but that is after they battle the Pokemon. Ash says, if you want a battle, then I'll battle you. He goes with Clever to battle the Pokemon, using X-Scissor. It manages to land a hard hit on Mesprit. After that, they throw an Ultra Ball to capture Mesprit. Mesprit's research tasks. Number caught. 1. Times you have seen it use mystical power. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you have seen it use recover. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40 times you've seen it use a strong style move. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40 times you've seen it use an agile style move. 1, 3, 10, 30, 70. Hisui Dex entry number 226 Mesprit. The emotion Pokemon. Psychic type. Known as the being of emotion. In legend, this Pokemon was feared, as any who showed disrespect would have their emotions thrown into disarray. After sending it out, Mesprit says, if you are asking for Father's fragments, I'm sorry that I don't have one with me. Maybe you should ask Yuxi or Azulf. But then it doesn't make sense. If you don't have one, then where are we going to find the other 3? Ash frowns. Maybe we will have answers we want if you remember something? Serena asks as they leave the cave. After getting to Crimson Mirelands, they get to Diamond Settlement as Adaman is finding the treasure from the Diamond Clan. Once he finds it, he goes to Ash, Serena, and Arita as he says, I found some treasure you'd be interested in. Did that make your ears perk up? Happy to fill you in, if you're curious. Yeah, I'm really curious, so just cut into the point, Ash says. There's that Survey Corps spirit. Curiosity's what moves science forward, according to good old Mr. Professor. But come to think of it, what I found seems too valuable to just let you in on it for free. You'll need to work a little. You've already seen what we worked for, Serena says. Just tell us what do you want. Here's the deal. I want you to show me what's in your mind, your heart, your soul, in short. Battle me, Adaman says. You could have just say so, Ash says. We'll like to have a battle. Then it's on, time to see what you've got, Adaman says as he sends out Vaporeon, Umbreon, and Leafeon. Ash goes with Pikachu and Infernape to battle. Here I come, knowing full well how tough you are, for the future of the Diamond Clan. Then he tries to have all three evolutions attack at the same time, causing both Pokémon unable to dodge in time and take hits, but even though they are good at working with each other, the battle ends with Ash's victory. You're really something. And I'm a man of my word, so, here's that treasure, Adaman says as he takes out an object. Ash widens his eyes as he knows what this is, even though it is rather a crystal than an orb, but he knows that this is the adamant orb. This used to be my grandfather's. He said it was somehow related to Almighty Shin, to Mighty Dialga. So, now that I've put you through the ringer a little, it seems right to give it to you since you're the one who caught Mighty Dialga, Adaman says. That might be true, Serena says. You know, I ought to tell you, I'm glad it was you who fell out of the sky to us. You taught me another way to get along with Pokémon. Another way to relate to the world, Adaman says. Ash says, well, now let's see if this adamant crystal can change Dialga's form. After having Dialga touch the orb, it roars and now it changes into its origin form. Ash says, looks like we did it. Let's record its data, Serena says. Hisui Dex entry number 235 Dialga, origin form. The temporal Pokémon. Steel and Dragon type. Radiant light caused Dialga to take on a form bearing a striking resemblance to the creator Pokémon. Dialga now wields such colossal strength that one must conclude this is its true form. And then they head to Lake Valor and find Azulf there. Azulf floats to Ash and Serena as he says, Ash and Serena. Welcome back, I missed you too. Hello there, Azulf. I assume you know what we're here for, right? Ash asks. I don't have Father's fragment with me, it was Yuxi who has it. But it doesn't mean I don't want to come with you. After all, you are the one linking to me even in the future. It's fine, Ash says with a smile. Welcome to the team. Azulf's research tasks. Number caught. 1. Times you have seen it use mystical power. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you have seen it use self-destruct. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40 times you've seen it use a strong style move. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40 times you've seen it use an agile style move. 1, 3, 10, 30, 70. Hisui Dex entry number 227 Azulf. The Willpower Pokémon. Psychic type. The dreaded being of willpower. Legends tell of this Pokémon manipulating the will of its adversaries and turning them into puppets of its own. Now we are done here in Lake Valor. The only one left is Yuxi, which is at Lake Acuity close to our settlement, Arita says. But we are not going back to Alabaster Islands yet. We want to go to Cobalt Coastlands first. There is Heatran that we want to find, Serena says. Arita groans a little as that place is hot as hell, but she can't complain as she will want to see Polina and Iscan again. Once they get to the beachside camp of Cobalt Coastlands, they find Polina there waiting for them. Polina says, the festival attended by everyone in the clans and Galaxy team alike. Oh, it was wonderful. Being able to spend time with Iscan in front of everyone was like a dream come true. So Lena, I'm sorry, Polina. Do you have something you want to discuss with Ash and Serena? Arita asks. That's right. You should also hear this, Adaman and Arita. Polina says. It seems something is once again very much amiss on Firespit Island. Oh, Firespit Island? Arita says with fear on her face. Dear. You seem reluctant to get involved, Polina says. It's just very hot there, Arita says. My, you speak in such disparaging terms of the seat that my lord, Arcanine, calls home. And to think, you call yourself our leader, Arita, Polina teases. And no, Lena, I didn't, Arita blurts out, and Polina feels annoyed. Oh, stop with that silly old nickname in front of others, won't you? I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything by it, it's just an old habit. Arita mutters. Well, anyway, you heard her. Please get to Firespit Island so we can resolve this. Truly please hurry. You're coming with us no matter what. Adaman says as he starts to drag Arita, who yells, "No, I might melt out there." Ash and Serena look at each other, and Polina says, "It seems that there might be some sparks between them as well." "You have no idea." Serena sighs. After getting to Firespit Island, the group finds Iscan there waiting for them. Iscan says, "Ash and Serena, thank you for coming so far out of your way." Warden Iscan, wasn't Polina joining us?" Serena asks with confusion. Oh, yes. About that. Iscan mutters. "It seems she wanted some time with her lord, so she's asked us to check the lava dome sanctum. Without her." "What? The nerve of. She knows I can't stand sweltering places like this." Arita complains. "If she won't be here, then I won't." "There is no way we're going to let you out of the sight," Adaman says as he holds her hand. "Let go of me." Arita tries to struggle from the man in front of them, but Adaman refuses to budge. "I'm sure she meant no ill will. The warden of the Lord of the Isles is such a kind, gentle soul. Anyway, Ash and Serena, shall we go? Might as well get this over with." "Indeed." Serena says. "Let's go. There is no way in hell I will go into the volcano." Arita says, but Adaman drags her and says, "Just for some minutes won't kill you." "Help me, Serena," Arita yells, but Serena just sighs. Once they head deep into the volcano, they find Heatran, who is waiting for them. Just then, Heatran is covered with flames as it starts to charge at Ash and Serena, who manage to dodge the way. "Hey, what gives?" Serena asks. "I don't know, but we have to stop it," Ash says. "But we can't get close or else we'll get burned. After all, its body is magma." "Then what should we do?" Serena asks. Ash notices some mud balls on the ground. He picks one and throws it at Heatran. "If we use water, the heat will just vaporize it. We have to throw mud balls to stop Heatran." "I just hope your plan works," Serena says as she also tries to pick up some mud balls, also trying to dodge Heatran's earth power. Once they throw enough mud balls, they find that Heatran is stunned. Ash says, "I hope we can just do this." He carefully walks forward and throws a gigaton ball from the back, and much to their surprise, Heatran is captured. Serena says, "That easy?" "I don't know," Ash says as he spots a plate on the ground. "That's the iron plate." He picks it up and reads the words on the plate. "That which fills the other side of the world can shape the rage and mold it." Phew. At least the heat's let up a bit. Arita mutters while waving her hand to make it cool. With both Arcanine and Heatran spewing flames about on a volcanic island, it certainly does get a bit toasty, Iscan says. "Warden Iscan, I have to ask. Do you think there was any need at all for me to be here?" Arita asks. Well, Iscan notices Adaman's glare and he says, "Why yes, of course, there was. After all, you are the leader of the Pearl clan. And this trouble cropped up right around the seat of one of your clan's nobles, so, yes, it was surely best for you to come to see it. Admirable of you to look after your clan's affairs." "Do you really think so? I was wondering if it might not be revenge for all the times I pushed Lena to train her Growlithe harder," Arita mutters. "More like revenge from Adaman for what you kept badmouthing him," Ash mutters. That's surely not the case," Iscan assures Arita. "Even if Warden Polina may have mentioned something about the need for, tough love. I thought so. To think, she was so patient and kind with Growlithe, but when it comes to me," Arita mutters. "Well, Ash and Serena, you did great, just head back ahead of you, then," Iscan says as they all nod. After getting out of the Firespit Island, Ash and Serena send out Heatran and he seems to be calming down. Ash asks, "So why did you attack us, Heatran?" "Forgive me, Chosen. When the plate comes to my hideout, I was being paranoid," Heatran says. "Oh, I remember Team Galactic tried to use the flame plate to control you," Ash says. "I understand the hardships you have to go with." Heatran nods as he also agrees to lend Ash and Serena his powers. Heatran's research tasks. Number caught. 1 times you have seen it use Fire Fang. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you have seen it use Magma Storm. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use a strong style move. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40 times you've seen it use an agile style move. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25. Hisui Dex entry number 228 Heatran. The Lava Dome Pokemon. Fire and Steel type. Stories tell of this Pokemon being birthed from the boiling magma within Mount Coronet. Its molten steel body holds many mysteries. Now we'll go to the next stop. Coronet Highlands. Ash says. There are some things we still need to do there. The others agree as they leave the Cobalt Coastlands and head to the Coronet Highlands. At Coronet Highlands, Ash and Serena arrive at the summit camp. There they see both Melly and Caliba at the Moonview Arena, much to their surprise. I don't suppose Grunts as you would even know, but I guess it behooves me to ask. Do you know the Pokemon called Cresselia? Melly asks. We know about it a lot. Ash says. Well, I figured you'd know. I wouldn't expect any less from someone who managed to defeat me, even if it was just a fluke, Melly says. Excuse me. Ash and Serena are now fighting the urge to punch the warden in front of them. But thanks to Caliba, things aren't being intense right now. Cresselia is said to be the very embodiment of the crescent moon. Her feathers are called lunar feathers, and legend says that if you hold one as you fall asleep, you'll be visited with wondrous dreams. Well, I call her a nightmare, that pesky Cresselia. She descended upon Moonview Arena and caused my lord to hide itself away, Melly says. I'm so worried about Electrode that I can't even sleep, never mind dream. Think you might be able to catch Cresselia and perhaps even claim one of those lunar feathers? Caliba asks Ash and Serena, who decide to ignore what Melly said from now on unless it is important. Oh, do catch that pesky flying croissant. Do it for my poor Electrode. Though I suppose Cresselia can't be all bad, if she at least recognizes the perfection of the arena looked after with loving care by the great Melly. Ash and Serena rush into the Moonview Arena and see Cresselia looking at them. But Cresselia doesn't notice them as she emits an aura, causing Ash and Serena to fall to the ground. What is this? Somehow I feel all dizzy, Ash says. Yeah, but we must reach Cresselia to let her know we are here, Serena says. They try to get up and walk towards Cresselia, but in Adaman and Arita's eyes, both of them are not walking towards Cresselia as they are walking in random directions. Just what has happened to Ash and Serena? Arita asks with concern. They might be confused. Adaman says. And then they wince after seeing Ash and Serena bump into each other. I'm sorry. Both of them say in unison. And their voice finally reach Cresselia as she notices both Ash and Serena. Cresselia hovers towards them and she says, Ash and Serena, I have been waiting for your arrival. It's great to know. Ash says as they decide to just sit down and talk to Cresselia. So are you the Cresselia that we met before in the Sinnoh region? The same one that was targeted by Team Rocket? Cresselia nods and she says, I am very grateful for you to help me out, that's why I have decided to join your team for your request from Father. That's great. Serena says as she throws a Pokeball and captures it. Cresselia's research tasks. Number caught. 1 times you have seen it use Moonblast. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you have seen it use Lunar Blessing. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use a strong style move. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use an agile style move. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40. Hisui Dex entry number 230 Cresselia. The lunar Pokemon, Psychic type. Cresselia is reminiscent of the crescent moon. It leaves a brilliant line of light in its wake as it flies across the night sky. I dare say it resembles the heavenly maiden who created the Milky Way. After sending it back out, Ash asks, if you are here, does that mean Darkrai is also here in this timeline? Will we meet him soon? We did come together, but I don't know where he is. Cresselia says, but he did ask me to give you this a few days ago. I know it belonged to Father. Ash and Serena notice that Cresselia gives them the Dread Plate, which is also one of Arceus plates, and the words on it say, 2 make matter, and 3 make spirit, shaping the world. Once she is recalled back to the Pokeball, the others come and Caliba says, well, this is unexpected. Instead of a lunar feather, you got some kind of a plate. I do feel power emanating from it, though. In any case, if Cresselia did not gift us with any of her feathers, then I suppose she thought we had no need for them. Melly says, not bad at all. Grunts. Though I suppose anyone with enough luck to best the great Melly should be able to handle at least that much. Thinking about it, halfway competent people like you might actually make a decent sparring partner to help my lord and I grow stronger still. Caliba sighs and says, I will go back to the settlement and tell the others about the feathers that we didn't get. But we can ask Cresselia to give you some. I'm sure she will be willing to help us, Ash says. Caliba thanks them after Cresselia decides to offer them some feathers. Once they are done, they head outside to find a man named Senki. Oh, thank goodness you passed by. Please, I need you to rescue my Spheal. What happened? Serena asks. Its adorable, round body caused it to go rolling down the hill, and it's headed straight for the Stonetooth Rose and Boulder Roll Ravine. Those are filled with dangerous Pokemon. Senki says, you're the new Survey Corps members everyone's talking about, right? Please help me find my dear Spheal. They nod as they try to find the Spheal, but every time they find the Spheal, it just starts to roll downhill again, much to their annoyance. It is until they are at the Boulder Roll Ravine that they stopped. Oh my goodness, Spheal. I can't believe you rolled all the way down here, Senki says as he turns to the others. You escorted Spheal all this way, right? Thank you so much. Yeah, it is tiring. Ash mutters. After they get back to the summit camp, Senki says, thanks to you, I was able to find Spheal, and it's without a scratch, too. Here, this is for everything you've done. He gives them 5 sticky globs and a rare candy. After they get their reward, he asks, you're going to be careful from now on, won't you, Spheal? But the Spheal starts to roll downhill again, and much to his dismay as he chases after him. Their final goal is the Alabaster Icelands. They let Rita find the treasure for Palkia's new form. Once she is done, she says, I found it, the precious, incredibly precious thing. Are you curious? Tantalized? Don't tell me you're going to act like Adaman. Serena mutters. Just get to the point. As you should be. There isn't a single person in all of vast Hisui who wouldn't be interested in treasure. But anyway, before I show you, can you guess what I want to do? You want a battle. Ash mutters. Yes, exactly, I want to be able to achieve feats like yours. Like what you did atop Mount Coronet. Now give me one moment. I need to center myself. Arita takes a deep breath and takes out the Celestica flute. She blows a soothing melody as the whole Pearl clan is listening. Once it is done, she says, my partners and I are going to get stronger and travel all across this wide world. She goes with Espeon, Glaceon, and Flareon to battle. Serena is the one battling as she goes with Samurott and Goodra to battle. The battle ends with Serena's victory as Goodra manages to shield their attacks and Samurott manages to do a lot of hard work battling. I wonder, Ash and Serena, are there people even stronger than you out in the world, with Pokemon stronger than yours? Arita asks. Trust me, I have lost 6 leagues before I become the Alola champion, and the path to becoming the world champion in the future is also hard as I lost a lot of times. Ash mutters, not loud enough for Arita to hear it. I'll just have to find out for myself, I suppose. Here, the treasure I promised you. Arita gives them the lustrous globe, which Ash is also familiar with. I'm told this once belonged to the founder of the Pearl clan. It's somehow connected to Almighty Shin-Er, to Mighty Palkia, I mean. And since Mighty Palkia is with you now, I'll entrust the lustrous globe to you, too. Thank you, Ash and Serena, for everything. Ash and Serena nod as they try out the new form of Palkia, and it is very delighted to be in the origin form once again. Hisui Dex entry number 236 Palkia. Origin form. The spatial Pokemon. Water and Dragon type. It soars across the sky in a form that greatly resembles the creator of all things. Perhaps this imitation of appearance is Palkia's strategy for gaining Arceus's powers. And then they climb up to Lake Acuity, as they find Uxie inside the cave. Uxie says, I have been waiting for you. I know what you are here for, and don't worry, I will give you what I can give. That's great. Serena says. However, there is something I want to ask. That is about the people who killed you. As the one with wisdom, I will like to know what are you going to do with them. According to my friends, they are already inside the prison, Ash says, and because of Dialga's frenzy, their trials are put to halt. They never learned their lesson, that's why they failed to kill us and they want to do it again. Serena says. If we just let it be, they might be trying to do this for the 3rd time. But even death is too harsh on them, considering we don't want to kill people. Uxie says, Wise words you have there. No wonder I can trust you guys to capture me. Ash and Serena then capture the Yuxi and do the research tasks. Yuxi's research tasks. Number caught. 1 times you have seen it use mystical power. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you have seen it use calm mind. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40 times you've seen it use a strong style move. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40 times you've seen it use an agile style move. 1, 3, 10, 30, 70. Hisui Dex entry number 225 Yuxi. The knowledge Pokemon. Psychic type. A Pokemon feared but also respected for stealing away the memories of evildoers. I have found records that suggest Yuxi holds dominion over knowledge. Then Yuxi also gives them the plate that they want, the Draco plate. The words written on it say, 3 beings were born to bind time and space. That means Yuxi, Mesprit, and Azulf. Now all we have left is the one for normal, the Spooky plate, and the Pixie plate. If our next target is Regigigas in the Snowpoint Temple, then it will be the normal plate, Ash says. Then let's go, Snowpoint Temple is close by, Serena says as they head there. Now Ash and the group are inside of Snowpoint Temple. Instead of walking upstairs like last time, they decide to head downstairs and they are blocked by a door that's shaped like Regigigas. I guess this is the door, right? Arita asks. It should be, Ash replies. What are you up to? They turn around to see Sabi standing there. You're here to try and find the secret lurking in Snowpoint Temple, aren't you? That's what my clairvoyance told me. Sabi. So you're here as well. You know Ash and Serena, they do tend to get mixed up in all kinds of strange goings-on, Adaman says. So Adaman, do you know about this door as well? Arita asks. Oh, this door here. Well, they say behind it sleeps a Pokemon so great it could tow around the entirety of the continents that lie to the south, Adaman says. No matter what we do, this door just won't seem to open, Sabi adds. Are you serious? As Ash and Serena step forward, the door is suddenly glowing, and so is something in Ash's pocket. The plates. Serena gasps as Ash takes out the 3 glowing plates. The stone plate, the icicle plate, and the iron plate. Ash says, these plates are referring to Regirock, Regice, and Registeel. I see. Then the door opens, and Adaman, Arita, and Sabi all watch in shock. Adaman says, I can't believe it. So those plates are the keys to open this door? But now that we are inside, let's try to see the giant. Sabi adds as they head downstairs until they reach the B5F. Right in front of them is not the sphere form that Regigigas is resting, but rather the colossal form that Regigigas is fully awake. Adaman gasps. What in time is that thing? It's colossal. It sure seems to be a Pokemon. But let's see what my clairvoyance has to say. Sabi says as the others see her using her psychic powers. Yup. Definitely a Pokemon. My clairvoyance showed me a vision of it in motion. Ash and Serena are the ones walking forward as Regigigas is staring at them. Chosen. Wait. You, here. Is that Regigigas talking to us? Serena asks. I think I know what he was saying. He said that he was waiting for us here in the temple. Ash says. But why? Father. Order. Find. Plate. Research. Me. Regigigas continues to talk. I see, so even Arceus sent you here to help us, and you said that you were willing to let us capture you and also take a plate from you. Ash asks, and Serena says, that's so nice. Then they decide to capture the Pokemon using a Gigaton ball, and much to their delight, they managed to capture it. Regigigas research tasks. Number caught. 1. Times you have seen it use Iron Head. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you have seen it use Giga Impact. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use a strong style move. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40 times you've seen it use an agile style move. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25. Hisui Dex entry number 229 Regigigas. The colossal Pokemon. Normal type. According to legend, Regigigas pulled landmasses together and bound them with rope to create the continent of Hisui. Though I have my doubts, the story could well contain a shred of truth. They also get the plate from the Pokemon, which is the color that Ash and Serena haven't seen before. So this is the normal type plate. I think we should call it the blank plate, Serena says as Ash nods. They also read the words on the plate. 3 beings whose power can hold both time and space fixed. Now that was one solid Pokemon. Like a giant born of the very earth, Rita says. I guess this is just part of your job with the Survey Corps, huh? Sabi asks. What kind of Pokemon is the one you caught, Ash and Serena? I can't wait to see in the Pokédex when it's done. Yes, I'm pretty curious to read everything Mr. Professor writes up, too. Adaman smiles. Sabi decides to leave and she says, see you. We should do another chase sometime. Please don't, Ash mutters as the others sigh. Once they are back at the ancient retreat, they manage to find Kajita and Volo. Kajita says, here you are again. Have you collected all the plates? Of course. Ash and Serena are famed members of the Survey Corps, after all, Rita says. That's great. So, what more can you tell us? We're so close now. You must know more about the plates, Volo says. If there's yet more you want to know, kindly bring me wood. 3 logs will do, Kajita says. Wood? So you're saying wood is somehow tied to the plates? Adaman asks. Well, I suppose that's what we get to learn next, Serena says. While it shames me to admit it, a merchant that I am, I'm quite out of wood in my stores just now, Volo frowns. It's fine, I think we have some woods in our item storage, Ash says as they go to their own boxes and find 3 pieces of wood. Once they get all of them, they get back inside the hut. Kajita looks at the woods and she says, oh ho, yes, this certainly ought to do. Now the moment comes at last. The big reveal. What, pray tell, is the secret behind this wood? Volo asks. Secret? Your expectations need tempering, I fear. This wood is merely for fashioning myself new cutting boards. See cutting boards? You mean, for cooking? Ash asks. The plates we're after aren't dinner plates, so this is hardly the time for cooking, Volo says. How you complain about one shirking his own work this very moment. Kajita sighs. Poor Ginter of the Ginkgo Guild must have his hands full with you. But honest work earns honest pay. Here you are, Ash and Serena. A reward for the wood you've brought me. Then Kajita takes a pink stone tablet for Ash and Serena, much to their surprise that it is a fairy-type plate. The pixie plate. That's one of the plates we were looking for. The others are surprised at Volo's outburst. He coughs and says, ahem. Apologies. That's indeed one of the plates that we've been searching for. What do you mean, a plate? Let me see that again, Kajita says as she looks at it. This does rather look like one of the plates you've been tracking down. While engravings upon it made it less than accommodating as a cutting board. Whatever ingredients crossed it certainly gained a more pleasant flavor. Perhaps that was the board's power. The plate's power, rather. I guess so. Serena says. Ash looks at the plate and notices the words, the original one is in all things. The original one is nowhere at all. Well, no more needs saying. What do you intend to do now? Kajita asks. Well, we've managed to collect quite a lot of plates by now, but I still don't know what we're to do with them, exactly. It's just a hunch, but perhaps we should have a look around the Celestica ruins. Those ruins contain statues of both Dialga and Palkia. They might hold more secrets, Volo replies. I see. A fine pretext to continue shirking your mercantile duties to crawl about in old ruins as you so enjoy. On with you, then, Kajita says. I don't need you to tell me, I'm going. Volo turns around and leave. The Celestica ruins, I'll wait for you there. Once Volo leaves, Kajita adds, go on, now, to the Celestica ruins. I'm curious myself what you'll find there. What can we who live now learn from the remains of our ancient myths and legends? Once they get outside, Ash looks at the 17 plates that he has gathered, and Serena asks, so we are missing one plate? Yes, the plate for the ghost type. Ash says as he realizes something. No, it can't be. What's wrong? Ash? Adaman asks. I just realized. There is actually a ghost-type legendary who was equal to Dialga and Palkia. Ash says. All this about Dialga and Palkia made me forget him. The others are confused, but they decide to ignore that as they head to the Celestica ruins. Volo is already there and he looks at the statue. Have a look at this. Ash notices the destroyed statue and Volo continues. This statue has been kept here, far from the statues of Dialga and Palkia. Broken and shattered, and yet it remains. Do you know what it is? Ash says, I know. Of course you would. You're the greatest wielder of Pokemon this land knows. The one who could bring low even Dialga and Palkia. Volo says. The crumbling statue once was the figure of a Pokemon. One that was equal to both Dialga and Palkia, yet banished from our world. The great Pokemon Giratina. Giratina? Adaman and Arita are shocked to know such a being exists, and Serena says, I think I remember as well. It was banished for its violence, left to dwell in a world on the reverse side of our own. It is a being that has lain in wait for the chance to bare its fangs in defiance and tear down Arceus itself. Now tell me, if this Giratina desires more than anything else to challenge Almighty Arceus. Where do you think it might appear? Volo asks. I think it would be at the Temple of Sinnoh, Ash mutters. Exactly. Where one is closer to the heavens than any other place in Hisui. And where the space-time rift first opened, Volo says as he suddenly laughs, creeping out everyone. I can feel it. We're getting closer to uncovering the secrets of this world. I dare say the excitement is losing my lips more than it should, but... You see, ever since I was young, whenever I met with something painful or heartbreaking, I couldn't help but wonder why life was so unfair. Why I was cursed to live through such things. Of course, I imagine we all go through something like that. Eventually, I chose to direct all my energy into my own natural curiosity and ambition. And what tickled my curiosity more strongly than anything were the mysteries to be found in legends, in history, in ruins. You see, I fancied that by unraveling these mysteries, I could find out how the world itself came to be, and with that knowledge, maybe even forge a new, better world. No. Ash widens his eyes as he remembers Cyrus, the boss of Team Galactic. Now, if we can find the realm that exists on the reverse side of our world, and meet the Creator's unwanted child banished therein, perhaps then we'll be able to understand the nature of Almighty Sinnoh itself. Do you want to see it with your own eyes? We must make for the Temple of Sinnoh at Mount Coronet's peak. Dialga and Palkia both appeared from within the rift that once gaped open there, didn't they? If these plates can call anything at all, it seems likely that is where it would appear. After that, he leaves, and Adaman notices Ash's pale face. He asks, Ash? What's wrong? I think I might realize the reason why Arceus has to send me and Serena to this world. Why we still can't send back to the future after we finished calming Dialga and Palkia. Ash mutters. We need to help Giratina. Ash? What are you talking about? Arita asks with confusion. Ash takes a deep breath and says, I'm sorry, but I think Arita might know how it feels. I felt that Arceus was talking to my heart. What Volo said about Giratina wasn't true. And we need to save him. Save him? Serena asks with confusion. I don't know. But everything will be answered, if we get to the Temple of Sinnoh. Ash gasps. Once they arrive at the Temple of Sinnoh, they manage to find the last old verse in the ground. Let our wishes reach heaven's crown, the people together vowed. So they and their Pokemon bore stone to the peak of heaven's mount. The people carved the gathered stones in shapes of Pokemon. The 10 Pokemon that Sinnoh shone its almighty light upon. And once that's done, they walk towards Volo, who is standing in front of them with a sinister smile. He says, the temple lies in ruins now. Columns cracked and broken. Like pillars now turned into spears, stabbing into the heavens. Well, I detect a distinct lack of Giratina. The 4 of them are glaring at Volo, who asks, Is something bothering you? I do beg your pardon. I suppose I must seem to be behaving strangely. I dare say you deserve to know what I'm really after by now. Ever since I became convinced that Arceus really does exist, there has been one question that consumed my thoughts. How can I meet such a being myself? It was in an attempt to answer this question that I originally sought out Giratina and had it tear open that rift in space and time. So it was you who made Giratina cause those noble Pokemon and both Dialga and Palkia in a frenzy. Ash says with rage in his tone. After all, Giratina wished to stand against Arceus, but that didn't do the trick. So then I had you gather the fragments of the all-encompassing deity, just as the murals of the ruins directed. 18 plates are said to be the fragments of the all-encompassing deity. You hold in your hands 17 of them. So, you must be wondering. Where is the last one? We know you have it, Volo. You have that spooky plate to control Giratina, right? Serena demands. Volo smirks as he takes off his merchant costume. He is now wearing an outfit that looks like Arceus. Adaman says, I can't believe this. Now hand over the plates you gathered. I will be the one to bring them all together. Volo yells. My desire to meet Arceus cannot be contained any longer. I need to know what it is. I must know what it is. Ash says, what are you going to do with them? If I can meet Arceus myself, then I may also be able to subjugate its power. And using that, I will attempt to create a new, better world. Of course, if I create a brand new world, then this Hisui region that we currently exist in will be undone and return to nothing. You, everyone you know, and all the Pokemon living here will vanish in an instant, as if you'd never been. You're insane. Irida gasps. Then we are not going to give these plates to you, Ash yells. If you want it, you have to get it from yourself. Oh, I definitely will, and you don't have a choice in this matter. Volo says as he sends out Spiritomb and Roserade. Ash sends out Sylveon while Serena goes with Beautifly to battle. Ash says, Sylveon, use Moonblast. Sylveon fires the attack at Spiritomb, but Volo has Roserade step forward and uses Petal Dance to reflect it. Poison Powder. Volo yells as the attack causes Beautifly to get poisoned. Serena clicks her tongue and says, damn it. She commands Beautifly to use To-Do Bug Buzz on Spiritomb, but Spiritomb uses Hex to knock it back. Serena says, Beautifly, use Rest now. Beautifly goes to sleep as its health recovers, and then she quickly recalls it to send out the next Pokemon, Walrein. Now it is our chance. Sylveon. Moonblast on the Spiritomb again. Do it with agile style this time, Ash yells. Volo wants Roserade to block the attack, but it is too late as Spiritomb gets hit and it gets knocked off. Volo grits his teeth and says, don't you dare think this is easy. He goes with the third Pokemon, Togekiss, and Ash mutters, I swear if he is going to use a team just like Aunt Cynthia. It is a good thing that Volo is not your ancestor, he just happened to have the same hair color and the same hobby that your aunt had, Serena says. Yeah, Kajita was our real ancestor, Ash says, and we have also confirmed that she only has a son and that's Rai, the same one we fought at the training grounds. But we should focus on the battle. If Volo is going to use the same as your Aunt Cynthia, then we know for sure how strong she is and we can't lose this battle. The world's fate is in our hands, so we have to grasp it before Volo does. Walrein. Blizzard. Serena commands, and the Blizzard attack manages to hit both Roserade and Togekiss at the same time. Volo curses a little as he also goes with Lucario. While the battle is going on, in the Ether Foundation, the champions of all regions come as they want to know about Ash and Serena's whereabouts. And with Lily and Professor Oak's explanation, they are surprised to learn that Ash and Serena are in the past Sinnoh region. Still, I can't believe Arceus would do such a thing to Ash and Serena. Diantha sighs as they are walking towards the room where the others are watching. I agree. The whole time travel thing is very hard to believe. Steven adds. But then again, I won't doubt anything that is related to Ash or Serena. Just as they enter the room, the others are feeling worried and Professor Oak asks, what's wrong? Dawn says, Ash and Serena were in deep trouble, just look. On the screen, they notice Ash and Serena fighting Volo, with the Sylveon and Walrein fighting against Togekiss and Lucario. Lance looks at the screen and he says, well, he does look like Cynthia, but why are they battling? It turns out that he was actually the bad guy, Bonnie says. He wants Ash and Serena to hand over the Arceus plates so that he can try to destroy the world. What? Every champion, Lily, and Professor Oak are shocked at the news, and they also see how Sylveon is hit by the flash cannon from Lucario and gets knocked out. So far Ash has lost Sylveon, while that Volo lost Roserade and Spiritomb, Salon says. Hold on. Does that mean that the merchant there is using the same team? Cynthia gasps. Come to think of it, 4 of that guy's Pokemon are the same as Cynthia's. Does that mean the finale too? Lily widens her eyes. Luxray. I choose you. Ash sends out the third Pokemon as the Pokemon roars. Use Wild Charge on Togekiss. Not if Lucario has something to say with it. Volo says as Lucario blocks in the way and goes with Close Combat, dealing a lot of damage. Damn it. If that's the case, use bulldoze. Serena yells as Walrein manages to knock Lucario to the ground. But Togekiss goes for an aura sphere, knocking down the Walrein with ease. Just how strong is this guy? Arita asks. I can't believe a merchant like him can be so strong. Adaman grunts. Maybe he wasn't a merchant from the start, he was planning for the whole thing after all. Being a merchant must be a way to help him explore the ruins to know more about trying to control Almighty Sinnoh. Serena goes with Beautifly to battle again, and Ash yells, Thunderfang. Luxray charges at Togekiss, but Togekiss takes into the air to block the attack, but Ash smirks and says, now let's go. Thunder. Luxray roars and the thundercloud appears, and since Togekiss is very close to it, it is unable to dodge in time as it gets hit and faint. Why you? Volo says as he goes with the 5th Pokémon, Garchomp. I knew it. Ash says, so far all the Pokémon are the same as Aunt Cynthia. And Garchomp was her strongest. While watching the battle, the one being the most unease is Cynthia, as she can't believe a person looking so much like her would be this evil. Lily says, don't worry, Cynthia. He is not your ancestor. Ash and Ms. Ketchum have already confirmed it. Speaking of Delia. Where is she? I thought she would be here with you guys, Lance asks. She is also in the past where Ash and Serena are. She chooses to stay and come back with Ash and Serena together. Professor Oak says as everyone nods. But they are also shocked to see Lucario using Bulldoze to knock out Luxray. Ash is going for Garchomp, and it goes with the Draco Meteor, which hurts Volos a lot. Ash says, I'll handle Garchomp, can you please fight Lucario and whenever the last Pokémon he may use? Sure. Beautifly uses Psychic to send Lucario flying, causing him to faint, and the last Pokémon for Volo is an Arcanine. What is wrong with that Arcanine? Leon asks. That is an ancient form in the Sinnoh region. A lot of Pokémon in the Hisui region has a different form, Lily says. Yeah, like Gudra and Electrode, Bonnie says. Beautifly is defeated by Arcanine's Rock Slide, so Serena's final Pokémon is going to be Samurott. Both Garchomp uses Rock Smash to push each other, then Ash's Garchomp uses Earth Power to make Volo's Garchomp take a lot of damage. Meanwhile, Samurott and Arcanine are both showing Hydro Pump and Raging Fury, Water Pulse and Flare Blitz. Then Samurott defeats Arcanine by using Ceaseless Edge. Both Garchomps are pushing each other once more, but Ash's is sent flying to the wall. Ash calls him to get up, then Garchomp's eyes suddenly glow. Signaling outrage is in effect. Garchomp defeats Volos after a lot of punches and Draco Meteor. Why? Why you? Why do you have the blessing of Arceus? Volo screams after his last one is done. Why? How? I've devoted myself to Arceus beyond any other. I worshipped it as the creator of our entire world. I bent all of my passion and interest to its study. All the time I've spent poring over the legends. Everything that I've done. You outsiders. It's almost as if you were spat out of the space-time rift just to get in my way. We are here to stop you. That's the true purpose of why we are here, Ash says as Serena nods in agreement. Just then, he laughs a little, and Adaman asks, what's so funny? No. No, this isn't finished yet. Can't you feel it? The chill creeping through your veins, the eldritch presence icing your heart? Volo laughs. The temple is shaking once more and Arita exclaims, not again. Here it comes. Serena says to Ash, who nods as they see a pair of wings appear from Volo's back, and then the body is coming out from the portal. Giratina comes right out of the portal as it roars loudly. Volo gives out a sinister laugh and reaches the spooky plate. Giratina, strike them down. Ash and Serena are now sweating as they see Giratina ready to charge at them. Ash and Serena notice the roar Giratina is making, and the eyes are filled with rage. Ash says, something is definitely not right for Giratina. I know. Serena says. It then goes for Shadow Force and strikes at Pikachu, who manages to dodge in time. Ash says, Pikachu, use Iron Tail. Pikachu strikes the legendary Pokémon with the attack, but Giratina uses Dragon Claw to strike back. Ash says, now it's the time. Garchomp, use Draco Meteor. Garchomp fires the attack as it strikes at Giratina, who takes a lot of damage. No matter how hard you struggle, you won't win against mighty Giratina. Volo yells as Giratina goes for Earth Power, which deals a lot of damage to Pikachu, and then it goes for Aura Sphere, striking Samurott as it falls to the ground. No, Samurott. Serena says as Samurott is struggling. Use Ceaseless Edge. Samurott attacks Giratina once more, and at the same time, Ash notices the spooky plate that Volo is holding. He remembers the time when Team Galactic tries to control Heatran. It was using the flame plate to control it. Ash says, "That's it. The spooky plate. We have to take it from Volo so we can free Giratina from control." "But how are we going to get it?" Serena asks. "I think we need to still defeat Giratina first," Ash says. At the same time in the Ether Foundation, Dawn frowns and says, "I can't believe Giratina would be fighting Ash and Serena." "Indeed, but then again, we are not sure if this Giratina is from our timeline, or the timeline Ash is in right now," Brock says. "Maybe he hasn't met Ash in this timeline yet." The others also agree, and they hope to see them safe after the battle. Serena says, "Now, finish it with Dark Pulse." Samurott goes with the final blow as Giratina falls to the ground, almost fainting. Volo yells, "No, we are not done yet." He reaches something into the air, and Ash realizes that it is the Gricious Orb. The orb goes towards Giratina, and then it gets back up again with its origin form. Serena says, "You have to be kidding me." "So that's the form just like Dialga and Palkia," Irida says. "Ash and Serena are going to have a hard time," Adaman adds. And the survived Giratina roars as it continues to use the attacks like Dragon Claw, Earth Power, and Aura Sphere, knocking out all three of Ash and Serena's Pokémon which are still standing. "Now Giratina. Kill them." Volo yells as Giratina is going to use Shadow Force on both Ash and Serena. As they believe they are going to get killed, Dialga, Palkia, Mesprit, Azelf, and Uxie appear from their Pokeballs and then blocks the attack. "Guys," Ash and Serena gasp and Dialga says, "We will help you stop Giratina. With our powers, we will be able to free Giratina from control." Palkia adds. And then the Lake Guardians use mystical power. Dialga uses Roar of Time, and then Palkia uses Spatial Rend to attack Giratina at the same time, causing it to get back to its senses and look at them. All 6 legendary Pokémon stare at each other before Giratina gives a nod and disappears from the portal. "Did we win?" Ash asks with confusion. Volo just stares at the scene with shock, and he is angry, turning tail and running. "From these puny humans? Pathetic. I was the one to feed you the power you needed so that you could take on Arceus. I was the one who gave you the chance to claw open that space-time rift, driving the deity of space and the deity of time mad so that you could drag the creator out from hiding." He kneels and says, How could this happen? Almighty Arceus, if you have any heart within you, then tell me. The blood of the ancient Sinnoh people flows in my veins, does it not? What is it, then, that you find so lacking in me? Do you mean to tell me that this world doesn't need to be remade? I can't live with such questions. I can't bear not satisfying this ache to know. He turns to Ash and Serena, with 5 legendary Pokémon by their side. Answer me, then, Ash and Serena. Do you have some dream that propels you, as I've had? We have. I want to become the Pokémon Master, Ash says, and I won't let anyone stop me from trying to reach my goal. Serena says, Me too. I want to be the best performer in the world as well, Serena says. Doubtless that dream of yours would never leave room for the dreams of one like me. Volo mutters. I am the great wielder of Pokémon. And you? You battle alongside your Pokémon. In the end, I was alone. But not you. You will fight together with your Pokémon to seize whatever dreams you have. He suddenly walks forward, and Ash and Serena are still standing with guard. Here, take it. Take the plate that started me on this path. The plate I once received from Giratina. Ash looks at the plate that Volo is holding as he tries to grab, but suddenly, when Ash grabs the plate, Volo's other hand is holding the knife as he stabs it into Ash's stomach, causing him to widen his eyes in surprise. Ash! Serena yells in horror as Ash falls to the ground. Volo says, My journey is over. My story ended when I lost to you. That's why I am going to take you down with me. You, Ash mutters as Volo takes the bag of plates from Ash's pocket. He says, Now all the plates said to exist in this land of Hisui is mine. But just as he reaches the plates into his hand, the plates start to glow, and much to their surprise, Serena's Celestica flute is also glowing. Arita says, "Serena, your flute." The flute changes its color and shape, and then Ash mutters, "Azure flute." So that's it. The Azure flute. Hey. It comes to you. Volo is surprised. So Arceus wishes to meet you. Of all people, you had to be the ones. He shakes his thoughts and yells, "Stop joking. I am not going to watch from the sidelines as Arceus comes to you. And I absolutely cannot accept a world in which you would ever manage to defeat Arceus. I'll stand before Arceus, no, I will conquer it." He tries to charge at Serena as well, causing Adaman and Arita to gasp in shock. It is then the meteors fall from the sky and hits Volo, causing him to scream in pain. What is this? Volo is surprised as he roars in agony. Ash manages to stand back up and he says, "You don't have the blood of ancient Sinnoh people inside you. You have caused a lot of mess in this world. Now, it is time to face your judgment." Serena notices that the tone Ash is saying is deeper, and Arita says, "The almighty Sinnoh. It is talking to us through Ash." "I can feel it as well," Adaman says. And then Volo continues to roar in pain before he has become nothing. The only thing left from his standing place is his bag, the knife, and the bag of plates that he stole from Ash. "So does that mean he is dead?" Serena asks. "We don't know. But that power. It is terrifying," Arita says. And back in the Ether Foundation, everyone who is watching Ash and Serena is also watching with horror. Ash was being stabbed, and then the stabber was being killed by meteors that shot from the sky. Cynthia says, that was Arceus' judgment. Controlling Giratina and trying to kill Ash. No wonder he is being punished by the god. "Though I hope this doesn't affect you from doing what you like to do," Steven says, and Cynthia shakes her head, "I definitely won't." Ash, who is still being controlled by Arceus, says, "Do not worry about Ash here. Once I leave his body, for now, he will be fully healed again." Serena sighs in relief and then she continues to ask, "Okay, then what about Giratina?" Giratina was freed from the control of the spooky plate. "I know you have questions about my relationship with Giratina. It is true that I banished him to the reverse world, but it wasn't a long punishment. And he chose to stay there so he can protect the land of Hisui, or Sinnoh, from where you are from," Arceus says through Ash. Serena nods and she continues to ask, "Then Arceus, I want to ask a question. When will we be able to go back to our own future? Even though we made a lot of new friends in this place, we still have some old friends who are asking for our return." Arceus says, "Indeed, you have fulfilled your mission to save Giratina and the Hisui region for my request. You will be able to go back to your own world. The Ether Foundation will still be the gate between the past and the future." This causes Ash, who can hear everything that Arceus said, and Serena, to be delighted, as they can finally return to the future. But seeing Adaman and Arita, they know it will be hard to see them again once they can go back to the real world. However, Arceus says, causing them to be confused, "You still have a lot of work to do in this Hisui region. After all, your Sinnoh Pokédex is not completed yet, and there are still some legendary or mythical Pokémon that are waiting for you in this place." Serena nods and says, "I see. We'll be meeting them, and we also promised Professor Laventon to complete the first Hisui Pokédex. There are still some survey tasks that we haven't completed yet, and we will finish it for sure." Arceus nods as he leaves Ash's body, and Ash says, "Now that we are done here, let's go back to Jubilife Village." The other three nod as they leave, but before that, Ash also looks at the spooky plate and the words, "The other side of this world was given by the original one to its raging third." Back in the Ether Foundation, everyone is surprised to see how things turned out. It is just like they are watching a movie. Diantha asks, "So this Ether Foundation has a way to link the past and the future?" "Yes, in some circumstances, Ms. Ketchum and I are able to go to the past to see if Ash and Serena are fine, and with their help, we are now researching the ancient Pokémon with Professor Oak's help." "Indeed. We have been investigating the reasons behind their extinction and the way to let them continue living," Professor Oak says. "I see. If Ash and Serena can return to our timeline, then we will need to set a time where we can give those attempted murderers the trial," Lance says. "You're right about that. Trying to kill a world champion is a huge crime after all," Leon says. The others nod as they are hoping to see Ash and Serena in person again. After getting back to Jubilife Village, The guard Res comes to them and asks, Ash and Serena. Hey, Ash and Serena. Have you heard? There have been reports that a huge shadow appeared in the Cobalt Coastlands and then just vanished without a trace. Laventon turns to Ash and Serena and asks, Ash and Serena, you must tell me. You went to the Temple of Sinnoh with Volo, correct? What exactly happened? Turns out Volo is a bad guy. Serena says as they explain everything to Laventon, who is surprised to hear what they have endured. I see. In that case, the shadow in the Cobalt Coastlands may be none other than Giratina, the Pokémon said to have once been banished to the reverse side of our world. I do believe this calls for a survey. The Cobalt Coastlands are pretty vast. I hope you have some idea where to look. Ash and Serena nod, but they decide to see if there are new missions in the Galaxy Hall, only to find Delia and Cogita there. Delia rushes to Ash and hugs him. Ash, Serena, are you two alright? Don't worry, Mom. I'm fine, but what are you two doing here? Ash asks. We've just been told of the foul plan Volo had concocted. Cogita sighs. Well, think no more on that scoundrel, he got what he deserved in the end. Just another tale of passion burning too bright and consuming its bearer. That is what happens, if you allow it to. She turns to Ash and Serena, but what of you? Are you making progress with your, what do you call studies of Pokémon? Surveying, was it? Well, it's going all right. Ash says, just a few more to finish. I see. Well, Hisui still holds more fascinating Pokémon. Shall I speak to you of one of them? Cogita asks. What Pokémon? Serena asks. Tornadus, Thundurus, and Landorus. Ash widens his eyes as he remembers the three of them, considering their Unova legendary Pokémon and Team Rocket were trying to get their hands on it. Ash says, then if that's the case, please tell me Tornadus. Ah, yes, Tornadus. In every direction it flies, stirring up tremendous storms as it goes. When a blizzard batters the Alabaster Icelands, Tornadus may be about. What about Thundurus? Adaman asks as both Arita and Adaman are confused about the three Pokémon. Now, Thundurus. As it flies around, it fires bolts of lightning every which way. When a rainstorm lashes the Cobalt Coastlands, Thundurus may be about. And Landorus? Arita asks. Ah, yes, Landorus. The Pokémon hailed as the guardian of the fields. It seems it can be glimpsed in the Obsidian Fieldlands. Perhaps you'd be so good as to catch it for me? Maybe. Serena replies. We will need to research all three of them as well. Though it is hard to believe that legendary Pokémon from the Unova region are here as well, Ash adds. I know not why these three have chosen to show themselves. Perhaps the cause lies with the space-time rift, or simply with their own whims. I suppose their stirring up storms and casting bolts of lightning may trouble you aplenty, but nature has need of such things. If you wish to know more, you'd best study the Pokémon for yourself. When you've completed entries in your Pokédex for Landorus, Tornadus, and Thundurus, come and speak with me. After that, Cogita leaves the hall. Delia says, I have also heard that you'll be able to go back home with us, right? Your friends are waiting for you. I know. But we can't go home yet. We promise Arceus that we are going to complete the first Hisui Pokédex first. Ash frowns. We only have a few of them left, and we can't just give it up right now. I see. I understand. Delia says. I will support you no matter what, then it will be fine to continue staying for some days. Ash and Serena smile as they hug Delia. After that, they decide to check out some new missions from the request board. There are only 2 more requests. Ash says. Help Medi of the Diamond Clan find the rare Pokémon she met long ago, and survey the Pokémon while you're at it. And the other one is this one. Get more details from Kale of the Pearl Clan about the terrifying Pokémon he saw and find out its location so you can survey it, Serena says. They also find a man named Kochika in the Galaxy Hall, and he says, you're the talented Survey Corps members I keep hearing about, right? I have a favor to ask of you. What is it? Serena asks. You know Orbero Tunnel, yeah. The tunnel near Obsidian Falls. I'm hoping to dig into the tunnel walls to see if I can find any good stone there, but a Pokémon's been raging about and getting in my way. It's more than I can handle. Think you could calm it down for me? Sure. Ash says. We'll do our best. Thanks a ton. Please head to the tunnel once you're ready to calm down that Pokémon. Kochika says as they leave. When they go to the training grounds, they find Hisui and she asks them, "Hello there, Ash and Serena. You know, we've an interesting member in the security corps. A secret weapon, if you will." A secret weapon? The four of them are surprised. They're a bit of a Pokemon battlemaster, in fact. Hisui says, "Think I could trouble you to face our secret weapon in battle?" "Sure," Ash says. When Hisui leaves to bring the member, another member of the security corps named Bren arrives and she says, "So, I heard the news. There's to be a face-off between two masters. You know, I've heard our corp's secret weapon can even defeat alpha Pokemon." Arita and Adaman are starting to show concern, but Ash says, "Don't worry, we have also defeated a capture-a-lot foe alpha Pokemon." And Hisui comes to tell them that everything is set, so they follow her to find Res. Hisui says, "Here's our ace in the hole." Res. "Wait, you're the secret weapon?" Serena asks. "Please, Captain Hisui. I'm just a common guardsman." Res sighs. "However, so long as I stand in defense of this gate, I have no intention of letting anyone defeat me." Then he wants to challenge Ash into a battle, as he goes with Bidoof. Ash stares at the Bidoof and he goes with Pikachu. Even though Bidoof can use a lot of moves like Ice Beam or Rollout, Pikachu manages to take all the hits and defeats it with Rock Smash. The second Pokemon is Shinx, which is capable of using Play Rough, and Ash decides to switch into Torterra for this one. And Torterra's headlong rush defeats Shinx in the end, much to Rest's surprise. And the final Pokemon is Starly. It can use Air Slash to deal a lot of damage to Torterra, so Ash switches back to Pikachu and finishes it with Thunderbolt. "You broke through my defenses. I thought I could do better than that, seeing as how I'm a guardsman." Res frowns. "You're also strong as well," Ash says, "Don't worry. This was to be expected." Res nods. Setting out beyond the village and battling so many different Pokemon in the course of your Survey Corps work makes you strong. "You know, my first job as a guardsman was catching some Bidoof that seemed intent on infiltrating the village. Since then, I've kept many Pokemon from passing through our gates. Sometimes I'd slip up and let some in. Goodness, would people let me have it? But I also befriended some of the Pokemon, and before I knew it, we'd grown strong together. I gained so much, and all because I was trying to make sure folks could live safely here. It's my job to keep everybody safe, isn't it?" He smiles and says, "Now, there's one last thing I'd like to tell you. If you're heading outside the village again, stay safe out there. And now I think I'd better get back to work." They are given a grit rock as a reward, and then Serena asks, "So Ash, what are we going to do then?" Ash says, "Right now we have gathered many requests, and learn more about the Pokemon. I think we should travel around the areas again." "I agree. If we go back to our world, it will be much less time for us to come back here and visit them." Serena sighs. While Ash and Serena are talking, Adaman and Arita are also talking to each other. Adaman asks, "You know, from what the almighty Sinnoh said, Ash and Serena do not belong to this world, but yet they feel like a family to both of us. And there will be a time when they are going to leave us. Arita, what do you think about it?" Arita frowns and says, "There isn't enough vast space for me to tell how thankful I am with their help. But I really don't like farewells. I guess this is also why Polina was angry at me back when I tell her to train Growlithe." Adaman says, "Me too. Ash and Serena are going to travel around the Hisui region as a whole for the last time. How about we make the best of it? No quarrels, and no conflicts about the Diamond and Pearl clan, just as you and me." Arita smiles, "I would really like that." Then Ash and Serena walk towards them and Ash asks, "So what are you two talking about?" "We heard that you two are going to travel the whole region one more time, right? We will like to come with you as well," Adaman says. "After all, it might be much less time for us to meet once this is over. But we want to make it memorable," Arita adds. Ash and Serena nod as they hug their respective sworn sibling, then they all head to the Obsidian Fieldlands. And back at the quarters, Lily arrives in the past as she hears everything from Delia. Lily says, "I see. The champions of all regions have been waiting for Ash and Serena to return. That's why they are in the Ether Foundation. To think they have to stay there for some more. It can't be helped." Delia says, "But I am also glad as well. I can see how much Ash and Serena have grown since the time when they got themselves killed by those people who are now in jail. They won't let others stand into their beliefs as they continue to teach the people here that Pokemon are harmless unless provoked. And I can tell from those noble battles that how Ash and Serena have become stronger and stronger, Lily says. Even though it might be risking their lives, they won't give up trying to save those frenzied Pokemon from their pain, including Dialga and Palkia. Yeah. Their recklessness was still the same from before. But I'm proud of them. Delia smiles. When the group arrives at the Highlands camp, they find Mai and Munchlax, and Mai says, "So we meet here again. I've been hearing plenty about your impressive exploits. But of course, I've always known you would impress us, ever since you dealt with that Alpha Cricketune for me. I've had my hands full as well. I've no idea why, but Munchlax keeps trying to run off in different directions." "What do you mean?" Adaman asks, and then they see Munchlax trying to run off again. Mai yells, "Munchlax! Where are you off to now?" Munchlax stops after hearing Mai's voice, and she says, "I'm not sure what he's so focused on, but he just up and disappears without warning. Keeping track of him has been quite the task." Just then, both Ash and Serena's Arc phone beeps, and they take it out to check what's going on. What was that just now? It almost seemed to be responding to Munchlax. Adaman looks at the phone and he says, "That map. The direction it is pointing. That place is Ramana's island." My, isn't this exciting? I wonder if we're about to see another strange phenomenon sweep across Hisui, Mai says. Or perhaps you're reading too much into things. Adaman says with a sigh. I mean, the almighty Sinnoh already said that Ash and Serena managed to stop everything that might danger this Hisui region. Then could I ask you guys to visit Raman's island to try to shed some light on this new mystery? Mai asks. As they walk towards Ramana's island, they are surprised to see something that they aren't expecting. An outbreak of Hisuian Zorua. They quickly dodge to the ground before those Zorua spot them. Arita says, "What the? I thought they only lived in Alabaster Islands." "Maybe this is the strange phenomenon Mai was talking about," Serena adds. They quickly rush back to the camp to report Mai, and she says, "Done with your investigation? Please, tell me what you found." "We found a pack of Zorua on the island, and it is very strange since we know for sure that they only appear in Alabaster Islands," Ash says. "The spiteful fox, Zorua? Well, you came across a rare Pokemon. I've seen them in the Icelands before, but not here," Mai says. "That was just what I've said," Ash mutters. "So was that it, Munchlax? You were curious about Zorua?" Mai asks. But much to their surprise, there are two Munchlax, and they all act the same like each other. Mai says, "Well, this is unexpected. It seems there are two Munchlax now. But naturally, I would never fail to recognize my own Munchlax." She points at one of them and asks, "It's you, right? Not the Munchlax next to me, the other one?" "What?" Ash asks, and Mai says, "The imposter." Then the Munchlax jumps into the air and turns into a Zorua who is giggling before running off. Serena says, "That was a Zorua? I guess even it is in its Hisuian form, it can do the same thing as a normal Zorua can do." Ash sighs, remembering how many times that he was mocked by it. "So it was Zorua." Mai says, "How odd for it to appear in the Fieldlands. I only hope that this isn't an omen of something unpleasant yet to come. As a precaution, it might be best for you to report this to your captain." Ash sighs, and we were just about to relax. I guess trouble never stops. "Well, this is important right now," Serena adds as they all head to the Galaxy Hall. When they find Captain Silene at her seat, they report her about the whole thing. Silene says, "A gathering of Zorua in a place other than their natural habitat. Could this also have been caused by the space-time rift? I suppose we don't know enough yet to say for certain." "Yeah, the space-time rift has already closed," Serena adds. "At any rate, thank you for the report," Silene says, and to reward them, she gives them 30 Ultra Balls, 60 Apricorns, and 60 Tumblestones. But just as they head outside, they hear Mai rushing into the hall. "Ash! Everyone! Things are growing worse." Mai rushes in a hurry, and Adaman asks, "What's wrong, Mai?" "After we parted, Munchlax reacted to several different locations, and there was a mass outbreak at each of them." "Wait, simultaneously in multiple locations?" Arita asks. "These must be somehow different from the mass outbreaks we know. Why don't we call this new phenomenon?" A massive mass outbreak? Silene asks. Your new orders are to investigate this massive mass outbreak. Yes, ma'am. Ash and Serena say. It sounds like I can count on you to keep investigating? Well then, I'll be waiting for you by the front gate. Mai leaves the Galaxy Hall. Ash and Serena also report to Delia about the whole situation and she agrees to tell the others about what you're doing. When they get back to the gate, Mai says, I suppose I should tell you exactly what I witnessed first. Munchlax suddenly took off running into a rainstorm. I tried to stop him lest he gets wet, but then I saw those mass outbreaks appearing all over. Perhaps it was the massive mass outbreak that Munchlax was so curious about. If that's the case, Munchlax might be able to help us investigate this phenomenon. I'll also work with you, as I'm concerned about Munchlax. The others nod as they get to the Obsidian Fieldlands, but just as they arrive there nothing is out of the ordinary, and Munchlax doesn't react to anything. But as they are wondering what is going on, the rain suddenly pours down. It's raining. And it looks like it's going to get worse. Mai says as she notices the concerned face of Munchlax. Are you worried about the rain, Munchlax? We still don't know what's causing these mysterious massive mass outbreaks, Serena says. So how will we find one? Perhaps that fancy map of yours can show us something, Arita asks. Ash and Serena take out the Arc phone and they are shocked. On the map, there are over 10 mass outbreaks in the whole Fieldlands. Instead of showing what Pokemon it is, the map only shows question marks. It seems you have some idea where to look for these outbreaks now. Mai says, why not check out a few? Seeing at least 3 ought to give us some idea of what is going on. Ash, Serena, Adaman, and Arita all walk towards the question marks. As they walk to one of them, they are surprised to see Pikachu and Raichu together. Ash says, what the, wild Raichu? And not to mention their levels. They are almost the same level as those we saw in Victory Road, Serena gasps. Looks like we don't need to buy more Thunderstones if we want to quickly finish Raichu's research tasks. Ash chuckles a little as they decide to check out what the group is going on. They are also shocked to see in some groups, there are Alakazam, Golem, Gengar in the wild, along with Spheal and Celio, who are supposed to be in Cobalt Coastlands, or Golbat and Crobat, who only appears in the nighttime. What's more, they also see Wild Wardeer and Clever in the wild as well. Just great. This is basically a blessing for us if we want to finish the research tasks without wasting more time, Serena says. I know what you mean. Back then we just wanted to reach level 10 of each research task, but if we encounter them more, we can just get perfect data like Unknown. Ash says as he shows the perfect stamp on it. But just as they do some research for a while, the rain stops, and all the Pokemon just vanish instantly. Rita asks, okay, this is going to freak me out. Just where did those Pokemon vanish to? I don't know. Ash says as he takes out the map. All those mass outbreaks are gone from the map. It should be fine. We have already researched a lot about these outbreaks. I must say we should go back to the camp and discuss the whole thing with Mai, Serena says. You're right. Serena says as they quickly rush back to find Mai. She says, thank you for your investigation in the Obsidian Fieldlands. She gives them 30 Tumblestone, 40 Iron Chunks, and 20 Smoke Bombs as gifts, and then she asks, did you learn anything about these massive mass outbreaks? Well, you told us that you found them during the rain, and when it is not raining, they just vanished. So I guess this is related to rainstorms? Ash asks. What could that mean? Do Pokemon gather when there's especially heavy rain? I wonder whether Munchlax was reacting to the rainstorm, or to the massive mass outbreak itself. We'll just have to investigate further, but how best to do so? Adaman says, we've had a good look around the Obsidian Fieldlands, but why raised more questions. As they are thinking, they hear a voice, that frown doesn't suit you at all. They turn around to see Caliba. Rita gasps, Miss Caliba? Well, you see. As they explain everything, Caliba says, mass outbreaks that occur during rainstorms? I've never heard of such a thing. But of course, life is full of surprises. After all, it's not often that Pokemon from beyond our world appear at the Temple of Sinnoh, either. Perhaps these Pokemon are reacting to the arrival of mighty Palkia or Dialga. We don't know. Ash says. Why don't we head back to Jubilife Village? Arezu's shop may be a good place to visit. That girl's place is awfully popular, after all, And where people gather, information abounds. Of course. The hairdressers, Arita gasps. That is a good thinking. If anyone there has seen one of these massive mass outbreaks, they might be willing to share the details with us, Mai adds. It's settled, then. I'll wait for you at the hairdressers. Caliba then leaves, along with Mai. Ash and Serena want this to get over as soon as possible, so they also catch a carriage back to Jubilife Village. What do you mean Ash and Serena aren't coming back yet? Everyone in the Ether Foundation asks Lily such questions that she is frightened a little. Gladian says, calm down, guys. Just as she said, something happened in the past Sinnoh that forced them to stay longer there. I guess that means we are going to stay here for a little longer, Cynthia says. It is a good thing that we have helicopters so that we can bring you to your work without wasting time waiting for Ash and Serena here. Lusamine sighs. Indeed. Professor Oak says, but I just hope that Ash and Serena aren't getting into trouble again. With Ms. Ketchum being in the past as well, I doubt Ash will try to get himself stabbed again, Lily says. That might be true. Brock adds. Once they get back to the Jubilife Village, they quickly rush to the hairdresser and find Arezu, Mai, and Caliba. They find that Arezu and Mai are waiting outside as Arezu says, oh, Ash and Serena. Mistress Caliba's waiting for you. Come on in. After entering the store, they see that Caliba is talking to an elder woman. Arezu says, I heard all about those massive mass outbreaks. I bet there's some sort of Pokemon festival. It's like what I heard from a customer who came here from Johto. Apparently, on nights with a full moon, Clefairy get together and dance. Yeah, we were the ones who survey about that and tell him the news, Ash says. It's basically a gathering of Pokemon that only happens when certain conditions are met. Sounds pretty similar to massive mass outbreaks, don't you think? Arezu asks. So you mean massive mass outbreaks could be a festival for Pokemon to enjoy the rainstorms? Adaman asks. It seems to me you're still biting your tongue, Arezu. My sighs. Have you heard anything else? Well, I did hear something weird from a Diamond Clan friend of mine, Arezu says. What is it? Arita asks. They say they saw a mass outbreak of alphas in the Crimson Mirelands. But seriously, do alphas ever gather in groups? My friend must have made a mistake, right? Alphas grouping together. If this is part of a massive mass outbreak, it sounds dangerous, Mai says. Yeah, even the Lady of the Ridge would be no match for a mass outbreak of alphas, Arezu nods. It's natural to worry about the unknown, Caliba says. That's why Ash and Serena are investigating this for us, no? To put our concerns to rest. You're right. It seems our next step is to investigate the Crimson Mirelands, Mai says. Ash looks at the Arc phone and says, but there are no thunderstorms in the Crimson Mirelands yet, so that means we still have time to do some missions in the Obsidian Fieldlands. The others nod as they decide to head back to Obsidian Fieldlands and do the requests there. They manage to find Medi of the Diamond Clan standing at the Fieldlands camp. And she says, aha, you must be Ash and Serena, right? Hello. I heard about you from Mai, thank you for taking on my request. I'll get right to the point. Once, when I was little, I got lost here in the Obsidian Fieldlands. I was wandering around in tears when I stumbled across a field of beautiful flowers. That's where I met it. A Pokemon I'd never seen before. It gave me a flower and then set off walking, as if to guide me somewhere, so I followed it. And it led me back to a place I recognized. Thanks to that Pokemon, I made it home safely, but I never got to properly thank it. I'd like to find it again and tell it how grateful I am. So you want us to help you find that field of flowers, is that right? Ash asks. Here. This is the only clue I've got. Medi takes out a flower, and Ash immediately recognizes it. This is Grossedia. Ash says. Indeed. It's the same flower like the one that Pokemon gave me. Please find the field of Grossedia flowers here in the Obsidian Fieldlands for me, Medi says. The group nods as they try to find the Grossedia fields, but they can't find any of them. But just as they arrive at Floraro Gardens, they find a huge field with withered flowers. Don't tell me this field. Serena covers her mouth with shock. Look at all those flowers, they are withered. Adaman says as he holds one flower. Ash says, there's no mistake, this is the Grossedia fields. The flowers may be withered, but I remember these surrounding exactly. Medi says. This has to be the place. She steps forward and yells, "Excuse me. Can you hear me, kind Pokemon? A long time ago, I got lost here and you guided me back. I don't know if I'd have made it home without you, so I just came to say." She takes a breath and yells, "Thank you so much." Much to their surprise, the whole fields are glowing, and the light blinds everyone in the area. Once the light dies down, they can see that the fields are blooming again. "Look at these flowers." Irida gasps. "They're revived." "But how?" Serena asks. "Aren't you grateful for Shaman?" They hear the voice and then a Shaman appears from the flower beds. Ash says, "Of course. Shaman is the gratitude Pokemon after all." "Thank you very much, Ash and Serena," Medi says. "I'll make sure to thank Mai for pointing me toward you as well. I suppose you'll be staying here to study that Pokemon? Well, good luck with your work. Take care." She gives them a grid rock before leaving, and Shaman jumps onto Ash's head like before and he says, "I have been waiting for you to come so I can lend you some help, but it seems that you've already done it without Shaman's help." "Sorry about that, Shaman. We are grateful for you," Ash says. "I assume you also come to find us as well." Shaman nods as Ash and Serena decide to do the research tasks of the Pokemon. Shaman's research tasks. Number caught. 1 times you have seen it use Earth power. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you have seen it use Seed Flare. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use a Strong Style move. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use an Agile Style move. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40. Hisui Dex entry number 241 Shaman, Landform, the Gratitude Pokemon. Grass type. When the turning of seasons brings the cruel winter to its end and the joyous people give thanks to the heavens, Shaman appears and covers the withered land with flowers. Hisui Dex entry number 241 Shaman, Skyform, the Gratitude Pokemon. Grass and flying type. Upon taking in the scent of a particular rare flower, Shaman is enveloped in light, and its tiny body transforms. I took a whiff of the flower myself, but alas, my body remained unchanged. I can't believe this Pokemon has 2 forms. Adaman says in surprise, but then again, I have never seen this kind of Pokemon before. Well, it helps us a lot with Giratina when we first met, Ash says, causing both clan leaders to get surprised. Then they decide to head to Ramana's Island. It is the place where Landorus was seen. Just as they arrive at the island, Irida asks, "So what does this Landorus look like?" Well, you see. Before they can say anything, 3 brown cyclones surround them and they are forced to stand at their guard. "What's going on?" Serena asks. "You guys have made me wait for a long time." They hear another voice, and they see that Landorus is now facing them. Landorus. "So even you guys are here in the past, huh?" Ash asks. "For your punishment, you'll have to chase me if you want to do something with me." Landorus is now covered with strong winds as he starts to fly to the other side of the island. "Are you kidding me? We're going to have a chase with that Pokemon?" Adaman asks. "I think we really have to do this," Ash says as they try to move towards the Landorus, but Landorus spots them and quickly rush to another location with a speed that they can't chase. "Come on," Serena groans as they decide to throw Sticky Glob at Landorus, causing it to get stunned. "Now in the ball you go." Ash throws the jet ball and Landorus was sucked in. After a while, it manages to get caught. Once Ash sends it out, Landorus says, "I can't believe I am being beaten. But then again, you are the Chosens. I shouldn't doubt that." "Yeah. So is it true that both Tornadus and Thundurus are here as well?" Ash asks. "They are also here, but you will have to do the same thing like I did if you want to research them," Landorus says. "Okay. We'll definitely do that," Serena sighs. Landorus's research tasks. Number caught. 1 times you have seen it use extrasensory. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you have seen it use Sansir Storm. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use a strong style move. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use an agile style move. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40. Hisui Dex entry number 233 Landorus, Incarnate Form. The Abundance Pokemon, Ground and Flying type. When the incarnations of wind and of lightning clash, Landorus arrives to quell the conflict. After the tempests and thunderbolts abate, the land is sure to be blessed with bountiful harvests. And they also find Lien at the Grand Tree Arena, and he says, "Clever, my mighty lord of the woods, seems to be in fine form today. After all, he's managed to make that frenzied might his own to wield." "Really?" Ash asks. "If you want to, you can have a rematch with Clever, just like the last time," Lien says. "And don't worry, Clever won't be getting you cuts and wounds this time." "If you say so," Ash says as they decide to battle Clever again. Clever is now glowing yellow like it was being frenzied, but it was really calm instead of feeling pain. Ash and Serena are still trying to dodge its attacks while throwing the bombs. Adaman says, "I haven't seen how Ash and Serena fought Clever for the first time. Just by looking at it, I can say it is really hard." "I know, right?" Rita says. Once Ash and Serena throw the final bomb, Clever just stops glowing and nods at both Ash and Serena before leaving. "Unbelievable. You took almost 6 minutes to triumph," Lien says. "I think you deserve this reward." They get 3 Express Candy M as a reward, and since they didn't take any damage, they also get an Express Candy L as an additional reward. "My lord, Clever, seems to enjoy his battles with you. Should you wish to challenge him again, we'll welcome you anytime," Lien says as they nod. Their final destination is the Orbero Tunnel, as they have to do another request to calm the raging Pokémon inside. As they head inside, they find that the raging Pokémon is an Alpha Onix. Kochika is also there and he says, "Oh, so you finally made it. Those glowing red eyes. It's one of those alpha things, right? It rages so much I'm afraid it might bring the whole tunnel down. It's really dangerous." Ash and Serena decide to battle the Onix to calm it down, as they use Floatzel and Gastrodon to attack. Both of them use Water Pulse to knock it out instantly. "Wow, you're as good as they say," Kochika says as he looks at Onix. "That Alpha Onix has calmed right down." "Huh. I half expected it to get right back to thrashing about." "Really?" Ash asks. "Call it a feeling, but maybe, just maybe, you weren't raging at all, but actually just trying to dig a tunnel. If that's the case, we may as well dig together." Onix roars in agreement, and Kochika says, "That's settled, then. From now on, we're a team. I guess you could say that Onix and I are on it. Now I've got a partner that's more than dependable, and it's all thanks to you. It's not much, but please take this grit rock as a token of my appreciation." He rewards them 20 iron chunks and a grit rock, and then he says, "There are some folks who are saying they'd make statues of Pokemon if we find some quality stone. And Lien of the Pearl Clan said we might even find coal here." He turns to Onix again. "Okay, partner, let's see which of us can dig more." Ash and the group decide to leave them alone, and Serena asks, "So I guess that's everything we can do in the Obsidian Fieldlands?" "Yeah. And it is now the time to go to Crimson Mirelands, considering that it is having a thunderstorm there," Ash says as they leave the Obsidian Fieldlands. After arriving at Crimson Mirelands, Mai is already waiting for them. She says, "It seems a massive mass outbreak has sprung up here in the Crimson Mirelands, too. Let's try to determine if this phenomenon occurs here as it does in the Obsidian Fieldlands." But before they can say anything, they hear a voice that Ash and Serena hate a lot. "Hey ho, little people. No need to fret, Melly has arrived." "What do you want?" Mai asks, and judging by her tone, it seems like even Mai doesn't like Melly. "I heard rumors that you've been investigating massive mass outbreaks, or some such. But I, Melly, have already solved the mystery. All that remains is to gather evidence," Melly says. "For some reason, I don't believe whatever you're going to say is right," Serena mutters. "Not bad, Melly," Mai says. "The reason these Pokemon have been mysteriously gathering in rainstorms is," Melly asks. "Out with it already, Melly. We don't have much time," Adaman says. To give praise to the great Melly, naturally, Melly boasts. "I knew it," Ash mutters, and the others are shaking their heads as well. "Don't look so sour, you guys," Melly says. "I realize it's a difficult truth to accept right away, but the awe I inspire, as both sun and shadow to Adaman, is clearly apparent to Pokemon, and as thanks for your adorable efforts in providing my theory true, I'll give you this generous reward." He takes out 20 berries and says, "Go on, take them. They're guava berries. Quite a rarity here in Hisui, you know. Ash and Serena accept the berries, and Melly adds, as for why these Pokemon gather during rainstorms. Well, that's sure to represent how I'm simply overflowing with wonderful qualities. And with those nuggets of wisdom, I shall be off. Once he leaves, my sighs, he was very shy and withdrawn as a child, until one day when he announced he was going to work hard to help Adaman. I was happy to see him grow more optimistic, but I fear he may have taken that to extremes. You and I both. Adaman sighs. But guava berries. Where could he have found them? Arita asks with confusion. Just then, Munchlax jumps and snatches 5 berries from Ash, and then he starts to eat it. What? Munchlax. Did you just eat some of the guava berries? My scolds. After swallowing them, Munchlax belches, and the 5 of them just shake their heads until they hear the beeping from the ARC phone. What's this? It looks like your fancy map is responding to Munchlax again, Mai asks. Look, all the Pokemon are shown on the map. Serena says as all the question marks on the map disappears and replaces the Pokemon that can be found in that outbreak. Now the map shows not only outbreak locations, but the Pokemon there as well, Adaman says. What does this mean, Munchlax? Mai turns to her Pokemon, who shrugs. So if we feed 5 guava berries for Munchlax every time there is an outbreak, we'll be able to learn more about them? Arita asks. Munchlax. What exactly is it you're trying to get us to understand? Mai wonders. Whatever this all means, please investigate 3 massive mass outbreak locations in the Crimson Mirelands, so we can compare these outbreaks to those we found in the Obsidian Fieldlands. Then they start to explore the whole area, and they are also surprised to find Pokemon that can be found in the space-time distortions, like Cyndaquil and Gengar. As they get into the Solacean ruins, they also notice a lot of unknown. Oh my god. Unknown mass outbreak is something that I really don't want to encounter, Ash mutters. But it is a good thing we've already have all 28 of them, so we can just ignore this one. Serena looks at the map. They are also surprised to see a Spiritomb outbreak and Ursaluna, Lilligant, even Gudra. All of the outbreaks are shocking their minds a lot. Once they are done, they quickly head back to find Mai. What happens twice will happen thrice, or so they say. Massive mass outbreaks seem likely to occur in the Cobalt Coastlands and other areas as well. Mai says. If that's the case, we can turn our investigation to the Cobalt Coastlands next. Munchlax growls a little and Mai turns to the Pokemon. Ah, yes. Munchlax. I know what's been keeping you busy is eating. Don't worry. You'll get your berries. But I still wonder. What lies behind Munchlax's strange reaction to eating guava berries? How does he know which Pokemon are gathering where during a massive mass outbreak? He's some kinda genius, I assume, Ash asks. Perhaps. Hopefully our investigations will shed some light on this mystery, Mai sighs. Well, I've learned some things about massive mass outbreaks myself. Arita says, as they all turn to her. I knew the leader of the Pearl clan could help us, Mai sighs. Mysterious goings-on in vast Hisui pique my interest, after all, Arita says, and on top of that, we're friends. I'll always come if you ask for help. Wait a minute, when did you and Mai become friends? Big sister Arita? Serena asks. We'd seen each other around before, but after talking more at the Harmony Festival, we found we agreed on a lot of things, Mai says. Such as how exactly we think Adaman is doing as a leader, Arita says. Really? Talking about me behind my back? Adaman glares at them. And we decided we'd help each other out, despite being from different clans, Mai adds. Anyway, what I want to say is that I heard from Iscan and Lena that they'd both seen something that was like a mass outbreak. But stranger, I just brushed it out like that, but now that I think about it, something is not right. So what are your thoughts on these massive mass outbreaks, Arita? Mai asks. Well, I wonder what about them causes Pokemon to flock together this way. Perhaps there's been some shift in space because of Mighty Palkia's appearance? Irid asks. I'd certainly be glad to have more Pokemon around, it would help Hisui flourish. But it's too early to conclude it's all for the best. Hordes of strong Pokemon could be dangerous. I'll be sure to warn Lena to be careful, too. Mai nods and she says, I assume you want to stay here for longer, right? Then I'll head to Jubilife Village once I wrap up a few things here. We can meet at the front gates when it's time to set out on our next investigation. Mai gives them 20 apricorns, 30 black tumble stones, and 30 iron chunks for them as rewards, and they accept them and leave. When they arrive at the Diamond Settlement, Arita decides to play the Celestica flute for the Diamond Clan so that they can hear the melodies their clan holds dear. Ash and Serena watch as to how Arita is blowing the Celestica flute, and it gathers a lot of the crowd. Because of the Harmony Festival, the Diamond Clan has no more grudges against the Pearl Clan, and they are amazed to see how Arita can blow the flute well. Once the playing is over, Arita says, "Ash and Serena, can I ask you for a request?" "What is it?" Serena asks. "Listen. I want to battle Mighty Palkia. I want to prove to myself that when the Pearl Clan worshipped Mighty Palkia, thinking it was Almighty Sinnoh. Our belief, at least, was real. Please help me do this. Use the lustrous globe to transform Mighty Palkia and bring it alone to battle me." Serena says, "Are you sure about that? You do realize how strong Palkia is. I want to know Mighty Palkia's power firsthand, the power that brought space itself into being." Arita says, "So please help me out." "Okay." Ash says, "Serena, you command Palkia, okay?" Serena nods as she sends out Palkia in its origin form. Arita says, "To step forward into this great wide world takes bravery and determination." She also calls out her 3 evolutions to fight Palkia. With its power, it is capable of defeating Flareon with just a hydro pump, but Glaceon uses Ice Beam to make Palkia frostbitten. Palkia also manages to defeat Espeon with the Spatial Rend, even though it takes a lot of damage from Psychic Attack. And eventually, Glaceon is also defeated with Aqua Tail. The sheer power of Mighty Palkia. It's as unfathomably vast as space itself. I'm in awe before it. Arita sighs. That was incredible. Must have been the Pearl Clan's Almighty Sinnoh. They turn to see people from the Diamond Clan watching them. Looks like the Pearl Clan's leader can really hold her own in battle, too. Did you hear that? The people of the Diamond Clan praised our Almighty Sinnoh. They praised Mighty Palkia. Yeah. Ash and Serena nod. I want to take the spirit of respecting and cherishing one another and spread it throughout vast Hisui. And I'll do it through battling. I've decided, on behalf of the entire Pearl Clan. We will bring our battles to Jubilife Village's training grounds to let these ideas flourish. That's great. Ash says as Arita gives them an Express Candy XL and an Ice Stone. Ash turns to Adaman and asks, "So, are you going to do the same thing as Arita did?" "Maybe later, not now." Adaman chuckles a little. Their final stop is the Brava Arena, where they find Caliba standing there instead of Arezu, since she is at the hairdresser. Caliba says, "The Lady of the Ridge is doing radiantly well. So child, what do you want to do?" "We will like to have a rematch with Lilligant," Ash says. Then on behalf of Warden Arezu, "Lady Lilligant, kindly honor these challengers with a battle." Then Lilligant also arrives with the same glow of light, but that doesn't mean it is frenzied as well. Ash and Serena also fight her by using the bombs, just like before. And this time Lilligant are making sure that her attacks aren't fatal, and Ash and Serena also try to dodge every attack that she deals with. Still, I can't believe that Caliba would be glad to help out one of the noble Pokemon in the Diamond Clan. Arita says. From what I knew, Caliba was the one who didn't like the Diamond Clan at first. I know, Ash and Serena are the ones that change her perspective. Adaman says. I can't be more proud of them. Once the final bomb is hit, Lilligant returns to normal and bows at them, then she just dances off to who knows where. Quite the performance. You claimed this victory after 5 minutes. Here, this is from me. She gives them the same reward as Lien. After that's done, she adds, also, Warden Arezu had a message for you. She said, please keep Lilligant company. We will. Ash and Serena nod. Well, it is quite fun to explore this Crimson Mirelands again. Ash says, but now we should do our next mission. You're right. Serena says. Once they get back to the Jubilife village to find Mai, who says, the next step of our investigation is to look for massive mass outbreaks in the Cobalt Coastlands. Thanks as always for all the help. But before they can leave, Garrick walks up to them as Arita gasps, Garrick sir? What a fine surprise, meeting you guys while out fetching supplies for our settlement. Garrick says. Caliba filled me in. You're looking into mass outbreaks that happen during rainstorms. Well then, I'll tell you what I recommend. Sticky globs. He gives them 30 sticky globs and then he says, hitting a Pokemon with a sticky glob will slow it right down. I brought the recipe at the Craftworks myself, by request from the settlement. Thank you for helping me do this. Urita bows to her teacher. No problem, Urita. I'd better get back to the Icelands. Not that it'll take much time with well-trained legs like these, Garrick says as he leaves. Interesting. The Pearl Clan is recommending the Galaxy team's sticky globs. My comments. Now let's go to the beachside camp, Ash says as they head there. Once they arrive, they find a thunderstorm, and Mai says, it seems we're arrived in time to catch another massive mass outbreak. Remember Garrick's advice. Perhaps those sticky globs could be a big help. Now then, let's begin our research. You can let me know if you wish to give Munchlax some guava berries, as well. It will grant you a bit of insight into the Pokemon gathering in these massive mass outbreaks. They nod as they start to walk around. They find Clefairy, Ninetales, Arcanine, Machamp, Golem, Steelix, Blissey, Empoleon, Lucario, Magmortar, Togekiss, and even Basculegion and Overqwil outbreaks in the wild, but just as they finish with the Basculegion one, they are surrounded by black tornadoes at the ocean. Okay. Who in the world did this? Serena asks. And much to their surprise, the one who is doing this is no other than Thundurus, and Ash says, come on. We were just in the middle of the massive mass outbreaks. Thundurus demands a challenge from them, just like what Landorus did, and then they decide to play chase again with the sticky globs hitting Thundurus once they manage to catch up to it. After that, they capture the Pokemon. Thundurus's research tasks. Number caught. 1 times you have seen it use extrasensory. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you have seen it use Wild Bolt Storm. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use a strong style move. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use an agile style move. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40. Hisui Dex entry number 232 Thundurus, incarnate form. The Bolt Strike Pokemon. Electric and Flying type. They say this wielder of electricity has waged war with its nemesis, Tornadus, since time immemorial. The lightning bolts it hurls pierce the very earth and enrich the soil. And since when do these forces of nature have their own signature moves? Ash asks. I guess that is why they are mad when we didn't find them for help. Serena says, they might have learned those moves because they want to help us out. After getting back to the camp, Mai says, it seems the Survey Corps really does get the job done. I'm glad I asked you for help. I'm also glad we can get information from the Pearl Clan more easily now. Yeah. Urita says. That sure is a win-win. I've got even more information from the Survey Corps to offer. They turn to see Akari coming out of the carriage and approaching them. Professor Laventon and I have been researching these massive mass outbreaks, too. Captain Silene's orders. We'd be grateful to hear about anything you've discovered, Adaman says. I'd be happy to share. I just have one little request. First, Akari turns to Ash and Serena and she says, battle me, please. I need to train more in order to become an even greater member of the Survey Corps. I'll be waiting for you at Ginkgo Landing. I'm taking this seriously, so I hope you do too. Sure, I'll battle you then. Serena says as Akari rushes off. Mai looks at her and says, The straightforward passion of the young. Most admirable. Once they are done talking, they find Akari and have a battle with her. She says, you'll have to battle me if you want to learn more about massive mass outbreaks. You've solved a lot of problems for us since you fell from the sky. But I still have more Survey Corps experience. I need to prove that you can depend on me. She is using a 5 Pokemon team, with Clefairy, Mr. Mime, Staraptor, Prinplup, and Pikachu. Ash is glad to see that Akari also has a Prinplup, even though Dawn's Piplup refuses to evolve. In the end, Serena manages to win against Akari with ease, as she only uses Sylveon to wipe out all 5 of them. What incredible strength. I'm proud to call you my protege. Akari smiles. You're incredible, Ash and Serena. I want to become strong, like you. If I could become a worthy opponent, then I know I could do the Survey Corps proud. Her Pikachu also nods in agreement, and Akari gasps as she turns to it. Pikachu. You understand how I feel. Pikachu nods, and Akari smiles. If we can understand each other, that means Pikachu and I really can get stronger, and I think we'll start by sharing a nice big plate of potato mochi. That's the spirit, Ash says, and his Pikachu also nods in agreement. Before she leaves, she gasps, "Oh no, I nearly forgot to tell you what I came to tell you. I'll explain what the professor and I discussed. We think Pokémon are gathering around lingering traces of energy left behind by the space-time rift. But we need to investigate more to learn how those energy traces relate to the rainstorms." "I don't understand a word you're saying, but it sounds like you know what you're talking about," Mai says. "I promise, I'll become a worthy opponent to you, Ash and Serena. When you can depend on when you want to grow stronger yourself." Then Akari leaves with her Pikachu following her. "I like the Survey Corps. It's good to see young people so passionate about their cause." Mai smiles. "All right. Next, we visit the Coronet Highlands. Or at least, that would be the plan. But I've yet to hear of a single sighting of massive mass outbreaks in the Highlands. If and when we do hear of any sightings there, let's meet up at the Highlands camp." Ash and Serena nod as Mai gives them 30 tumblestones, 30 sky tumblestones, and 30 iron chunks. Once they are done, they decide to explore the whole Cobalt coastlands for the final time, and Adaman looks at the beach and says, "You know, time changes a lot of things. But the sea stays the same." The Celestica people must have looked out at this exact same view long ago. "You're right about that," Arita says. "I've got a favor to ask, Ash and Serena." Adaman says. "Just like what Arita did. I want to see if all the strength my partners and I have got is enough to take down Mighty Dialga in that otherworldly form." "Okay, I was wondering when you're going to ask," Ash smiles. "Mighty Dialga gave us all the gift of time, and I want to see its real power in battle," Adaman says as Ash nods. After sending out Dialga in its origin form, Adaman says, "Mighty Dialga, let me stand before you as leader of the Diamond Clan, to find out in battle what I'm really made of." Then he uses Leafeon, Vaporeon, and Umbreon to battle Dialga. Dialga uses Iron Tail to knock out Umbreon with ease, but the other two does give a struggle for Dialga. In the end, Dialga defeats both of them with 2 hits of Roar of Time. The sheer power of Mighty Dialga. It's too much to comprehend. I'm still shaking, even now. But through our battle, I think I understood the will of Mighty Dialga. Isn't that amazing? When you battle all out with someone, you really understand them. Imagine if everyone in Hisui partnered up with Pokémon to express themselves through battle. Living here would be even more fun. Ash and Serena nod, and Adaman smiles. "I think I'll have my clan's folk start training up at Jubilife's training grounds as well." "That's good, we can see whose clan is the best." Arita smiles. Adaman gives them an express candy L and a leaf stone as thanks for battling Dialga, and then they decide to go to the Firespit Island to find Polina and Arcanine. After a long trip to the Firespit Island, Arita was still sweating at how hot the place is, and Adaman has to drag her here as well. Ash and Serena greet Polina, and she says, "It seems Arcanine has settled into his role as Lord quite nicely. He's learned how to control his frenzied might and can use it in battle at will. Still, I'm sure you guys could learn much from each other. What would you like to do?" "We want to have a rematch with Arcanine," Serena says. "Certainly," Polina says as she lets Ash and Serena enter the arena, and they see Arcanine sitting there waiting for them, glowing with yellow light as usual. Ash and Serena are throwing bombs at the Pokémon and they are making sure that they aren't going to hit the lava or taking any damage from Arcanine. Arcanine also tries his best not to damage the two as they are the ones who saved him. After the final bomb is thrown, Arcanine's glow is back to normal and they walk back to Polina and the others. "That was a splendid match. I'm so proud of both you and Arcanine. This time, you defeated him in 4 minutes. Such an outstanding victory must be celebrated. Please accept this gift from me." They are given the same rewards as Lien and Caliba. When they are done, she says, "Thank you, truly, for training together with Arcanine. It means so much to us both." "No problem," Ash says as they quickly leave the Firespit Island for Arita's request. And their final destination is the Turnback Cave, where Giratina is staying. Once they enter the cave, Giratina was almost recovered and he says, "Thank you for saving me from that madman." "So you were controlled by Volo, right?" Ash asks, and the Pokémon nods. I have no intention to rebel against Father Arceus. It was true that I tried to do it because I wanted the power. But when I was banished, I learned the hard way. Now since you're here, I can finally let myself being captured. Ash and Serena nod as they do the research about Giratina. Giratina's research tasks. Number caught. 1. Times you have seen it use Shadow Claw. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you have seen it use Shadow Force. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use a strong style move. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use an agile style move. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40. Hisui Dex entry number 237 Giratina. Altered form. The Reincarnated Pokemon. Ghost and Dragon type. There's one Hisuian verse that tells of a powerful light creating a deep shadow. I imagine that this deep shadow is Giratina. And they also find a Gricious core on the ground and picks it up, recording the data of Giratina's origin form. Hisui Dex entry number 237 Giratina. Origin form. The Reincarnated Pokemon. Ghost and Dragon type. Giratina loses its legs upon changing into this form. I believe this Pokemon must hail from a world where the heavens and the earth are as one, though I have no way of proving it. As they get back to the camp, they decide to take the carriage and get back to Jubilife Village. Back at the Jubilife Village, they find Mai and Munchlax at the Galaxy Hall. Mai says, Ash and Serena. I have something important to discuss with you. I heard an odd rumor. I believe it may be the key to unlocking the mysteries behind massive mass outbreaks. You must first acquire 10 mushroom cakes. Then bring them to the secret hollow in the Alabaster Islands. I call this my tricky treat strategy. Alabaster Islands? I thought we are going to Coronet Highlands next. Ash is confused. We have change of plans. I'll be waiting for you in the Alabaster Islands, in the secret hollow. Then Mai and Munchlax leaves. Strange. I wonder what is this all about? Mushroom cakes for massive mass outbreaks? Adaman asks. Importantly. Did something happen to Mai? Rita asks. They decide to do what she requests, and then they head to the secret hollow, which is close to the Icebeat camp. As they get inside, they decide to wait for Mai to show up. Geez. Even though we are in the cave, this place is as cold as hell, Serena says while she is shivering. Yeah. Ash adds. You guys are overreacting. Rita sighs. It's not that cold. Mai and Munchlax arrive and Mai asks, Did you bring me 10 mushroom cakes? We do. Ash hands over the cakes, and Mai gives a creepy smile, hee. Well done. Mushroom cakes. And some quality ones, at that. Now we're just getting started. Leave the rest to me. You can return to Jubilife Village. I'll share how successful my strategy was when I'm finished. The four of them look at Mai with confusion before they head back to Jubilife Village. When they are back at the camp, Adaman says, I know Mai for years. But I am pretty sure that she won't be acting like this. Yeah. Rita says, but they are stopped by Lien, who comes and says, I had a visit from Melly. He came all that way just to boast about giving you some aguave berries. He said you lit up with so much joy that your smile nearly split your face. I can't imagine that was the case. I'm sure it was a confused grimace or a smile you merely forced yourself to give him out of pity. But yeah, if we would get joy from something Melly did for us. Ash mutters. All he does is boasting himself. I still can't let myself be outdone by him. Lien says. So I've been looking for you all over Hisui. To give you this. My very own reward to you. It is, naturally, far superior to anything Melly can offer. He gives them 30 more aguave berries, and Serena says, Thank you, we would really need them. Oh, and I did see one of those massive mass outbreaks on my way here to find you. Lien says, I wonder if they might be caused by the geology of the place where they occur. Perhaps there is some mysterious kind of stone in the ground which draws Pokemon near. Maybe. Rita says, Nice find, Lien. Oh, and I had a message for you from Mai. She would like to meet you in Jubilife Village, Lien says. Back in Jubilife? Ash asks in confusion. But yes, she's been waiting there for you for. Though I suppose it's more accurate to say that she's been chatting away with Tsumugi from the security corps about Bidoof. As for me, I think I may visit the hot springs since I've come all this way. Lien says. Do be careful of any massive mass outbreaks as you head back, strong Pokemon might appear. After Lien leaves, Arita asks, if Mai was at the Jubilife village this whole time, then who were the imposters back in the secret Hallow? At the same time, the fake Mai and Munchlax reveal themselves to be a Zoroark and a Zorua, as they chuckle while eating the mushroom cakes. We've no idea. But this is creeping me out, Serena says. Once they get back to Coronet Highlands, Mai and Munchlax are waiting for them as Mai asks, Mai, what's on your mind? Didn't you suggest something about your tricky treat strategy? Using the mushroom cakes in the Alabaster Icelands to lure the massive mass outbreaks? Ash asks Mai, who seems to be confused. What in the world are you talking about? Mushroom cakes and strategies? Mai asks. Come to think of it, Arita also came to me with an odd request. Me? Arita asks. Yeah, didn't you ask me for hardy grains, so I gathered some for you, Mai says. I don't think I would do such a thing. Arita says. Could there be some Pokemon taking the guise of people to stir up mischief? Ash gasps and says, wait, Zoroark and Zorua. Those two might be the case. So we were tricked by Zorua and Zoroark, huh? Mai sighs. Anyway, sorry for letting you guys find me. She gives them 3 star pieces and 30 iron chunks as compensation. Then Mai continues, none of this is why I called you here, mind. I meant to tell you that a massive mass outbreak has been reported in the Coronet Highlands. The next step in our research is to investigate the Coronet Highlands. Let's see what we can find. On the carriage, Ash says, I should have seen through the disguise of Zoroark. And we just lost 10 mushroom cakes. It's not that bad, right? Serena asks. Let's not focus on that and we should try to continue our work. You're right. Ash says with a nod. Once they arrive at the Highlands camp, Mai says, now then, let us continue our investigation into these outbreaks here in the Coronet Highlands. Ash, Serena, Adaman, Arita, and Mai, they turn to see Sabi walking towards them. Sabi? What brings you here? Adaman asks. I hurried here 'cause of a vision my clairvoyance showed me. Sabi says. Some poor soul was running for their life from a bunch of alphas. I just barely saved them. It's as I feared, then. These massive mass outbreaks really are growing out of hand, Mai says. We must endeavor to find the truth behind why they keep happening. Sabi closes her eyes and says, big packs of Pokemon might not be much trouble if you've got a trusty partner, but if you don't. Eep. I'm scared just thinking about it. You did well to save that person, Sabi. You're as fine a protector as any lord or lady Pokemon. Adaman smiles. Thanks, Adaman. If my clairvoyance shows me anyone else in trouble, I'll do my best to save them too. Just be careful while you're out here, okay? Sabi asks. She's right. We know how strong you are, but we should move with caution here, Mai says. Then they start to explore the Coronet Highlands, and they find Ponyta and Rapidash outbreak, and a group of Alpha Gengars, which causes them to get surprised. Alpha Gengars in one group. That sure is terrifying, Arita mutters. Let's get out of here before they see us, Serena says as they nod. They also find Electrode, Mr. Mime, Mismagius, Garchomp, Snover, Gliscor, Probopass, Electivire, and even Sneasler and Decidueye. Ash says, I guess that group of Alpha Gengar was the only terrifying one in this whole place. Yeah, I think we also have enough research here, let's get back to Mai, Serena says. After getting back to the Highlands camp, they find Mai and she says, good work out there. It seems we may have learned all we can from the Highlands for now. Adaman says, and by the way, while you guys are hunting Pokemon, I found these that might come in handy for you guys. Materials for those sticky glob things. Thanks, Adaman. Ash says as they get 100 spoiled apricorns, 100 balls of mud, and 100 castor fern leaves from Adaman. How leader-like of you, Adaman. Mai smiles. Don't make fun, Mai. I'm trying to help. Adaman groans. You misunderstand me, Adaman. As the sister who helped raise you, I'm truly proud to see how far you've come. Adaman sighs and he says, listen, Ash and Serena. I've been wondering, do you think these massive mass outbreaks could be some sort of trial from Mighty Dialga or Mighty Palkia? I don't think so, or else they would tell us, Ash says. But it kind of feels like it, right? As if someone's telling us, if you've got the guts to face a real test with your partners, take on these Pokemon. Otherwise, stand back, Adaman says. Quite like you to see it that way, Adaman. My nods. It would seem to have a trusted partner causes one to view these outbreaks in a rather different light. Now then. The Alabaster Icelands still await. One more steep hurdle for us to overcome. You're right. Arita adds. Mai then gives them 30 apricorn, 30 tumblestones, and 20 balls of mud before heading back to Jubilife village. At the summit camp, they find the balloon race man once again, and he says, that glint in your eye. I'd bet my balloons you're quite capable young people. Do you think you could show me your balloon bursting technique? You just need to burst as many of my adorable balloons as possible while riding a Pokemon. It's captivating, really. If you manage to burst, say, 0.40 balloons, well, that'd be an impressive start. So this is a new balloon race, Ash says, this must be very hard. I know, but I'll do it, Serena says, and Ash nods as he lets Serena tries it out. There are a total of 60 balloons on the course. Let's see how many of them you can burst in 1 minute and 50 seconds. Now get out there and get bursting. Serena rides on Wordeer as the race starts, but just as she reaches the cliff, she has to switch into Braviary to hit the balloons, and then dive down to switch into Wordeer again, and then Braviary to get up again. This is getting complicated. Serena is doing a good job, Arita says. I know. Ash says as they see how Serena changes into Sneasler to climb the cliffs to population 20 balloons so far, and then she rides to the spring and changes into Basculegion, before jumping off the waterfall, it changes into Braviary to fly into the sky. Now there are 40 of them popped, Ash says. And Serena manages to finish just by a second as she lands at the fabled spring. Welcome back. You burst. 0.60 balloons. P perfection. You popped every single balloon. You're definitely a balloon bursting boss. That's for sure. And that means you deserve something special to mark the occasion. They get 30 nuggets and 10 grit rocks in the end, and the man adds, well, what you know? You beat my target of bursting at least 40 balloons. Well done, you. He also gives them 5 nuggets as rewards. Once they're done, Ash says, looks like we are rich with these nuggets. Yeah. Serena says as they leave the camp to continue their research. Right now Ash and Serena, along with Adaman and Arita, are now in front of the Moonview Arena, and they find Melly there, of course. My dazzling lord, Electrode, is happily letting off some pent-up electricity at present. Let's hear it, then. What are you here to do? Simple, we're here for a rematch, Ash says. If you must. Try not to get zapped. Melly says as he lets them in to fight the noble Electrode. And just like the other nobles that they fight a few days ago, Electrode is also trying not to hurt them, and so are Ash and Serena. Once the battle is over, Melly mutters, I can't believe what I've just seen. You took 7 minutes to win this battle, here. A gift for you from the great Melly. Accept it with the honor it deserves. They get the same rewards as the other wardens, and Melly says, I suppose you'll come trundling along for another rematch sometime, We'll be ready. Once that's done, they go to the place where they found the Alpha Bronzong, north of the Lonely Spring. Ash and Serena remember what happened before heading there. Flashback. You the one who accepted my request. Well then, let's get right into business. Kale, a Pearl Clan member, comes to the Galaxy Hall and talks to the 4 of them. There's an old tale that's long been told in the Hisui region about a dark nightmare that visits people on lonely paths at night. I never put any stock in it myself. Until I saw it. I saw a terrifying black Pokemon just like the one in the stories. They say that people who are trapped in the nightmares it creates never wake again. We can't wait for someone to fall victim to it. We've got to act before that can happen. That is probably Darkrai. Don't worry, he won't harm a person. Just tell us where he is, Ash says. I saw it near the Clamberclaw Cliffs, partway up Mount Coronet. And it was when I was out walking alone at night, just like the old stories all say. Be careful if you go in search of it. I wouldn't want you to lose your life over this. Flashback ends. Are you sure this Darkrai you said won't kill us? Adaman asks. Don't worry, he is a good friend of mine, Ash says as the said Pokemon just comes from the shadows and floats up to face them. And what do you know, here he is. Wow. It sure is pitch black, Irida mutters. Darkrai floats towards them and he says, Cresselia has told me everything, even though I didn't help you, but I'm glad she did. That's good to know, Ash says, and we are here to research you as well. Darkrai nods as they do the honors to capture him. Darkrai's research tasks. Number caught. 1 times you have seen it use Shadow Ball. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you have seen it use Dark Void. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use a strong style move. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40 times you've seen it use an agile style move. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25. Hisui Dex entry number 242 Darkrai. The pitch black Pokemon, Dark type. On a moonless night, a strange incident occurred in which every one of a village's inhabitants suffered nightmares. The villagers attested that Darkrai appeared before them in these nightmares. And at the same time, Kale arrives and he says, astounding. Now everyone will be able to rest easy. Yes. Now no one else will fall victim to such dark nightmares. I suppose I'd better be heading back home myself now. But I won't forget what you did. He gives them an express candy L as a reward, and once it is done, they leave the area and go to Jubilife village to find Mai. Our last item of research is to look into massive mass outbreaks in the Alabaster Islands. Let's finish this together, Mai says as they nod. As they get to the Snowfields camp, they can see that instead of thunderstorms, it is having a blizzard. Mai says, the cold here seems to cut right through you. Yeah. Ash says, and Munchlax notices something as he rushes off. As they follow the Pokemon, they find Lien and Melly arguing with each other. What are you two doing here? Adaman asks. I came to advise you that the massive mass outbreaks seen here in the Alabaster Islands seem slightly different than the others, Lien says. The outbreaks happen during rainstorms in other areas, but here they seem to be tied to blizzards, Melly says. Blizzards, you say? Irida asks. It could just be the cold environment, of course, but I have to wonder if there's more to it. Well, we'd better get to it. I think we should look into more outbreak locations than usual this time, Mai says. How? Ash and Serena ask. I know increasing the scope of our investigation is a lot to ask at this point, Mai says. And even for someone with your skills, Ash and Serena, it will take a long time to check so many areas by yourself, Lien adds. It's a good thing I'm here to help you out then, isn't it? Melly asks. And I suppose even Lien might be of some use, Melly says. Well, we'd appreciate the help. Serena says. This will be your first time investigating these outbreaks, won't it? You too? Mai asks. Try not to overstrain yourselves. Certainly. Lien nods. So to sum up, Ash and Serena will focus on just 3 areas, as they've been doing till now. Meanwhile, Sliggoo and I will handle the remaining areas. There's something wrong with your math there, little man. You've left me out of the equation, Melly complains. So you can do basic math, can you? Lien demands. HMPH. I know how to subtract you from this assignment, for starters, Melly says. I will finish all the remaining areas on my own. You needn't factor in. The two of them glare at each other before leaving. Irida sighs. I can't tell if they hate each other or if they're both enjoying this. Either way, I imagine they never would have crossed paths if it hadn't been for you, Mai says. For now, let us focus on investigating the outbreaks here in the Icelands. Then they start to look out for Pokemon. They are surprised to find Vulpix and Ninetales, Abra, Kadabra, and Alakazam, Magby, Magmar, and Magmortar in the outbreaks here in the cold place. And they also notice Tornadus floating around the area as they decide to greet them. But just as they greet them, they are slapped by the tornadoes on the face as Tornadus wants to do the same thing as the other two. Sighing, Ash and Serena play the game of chase once more to capture that Pokemon. Tornadus research tasks. Number caught. 1. Times you have seen it use extrasensory. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25. Times you have seen it use Bleakwind Storm. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use a strong style move. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use an agile style move. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40. Hisui Dex entry number 231 Tornadus. incarnate form. The Cyclone Pokemon. Flying type. This storm-stirring Pokemon is said to cause the seasons to turn by whipping up the air. I suspect its human-like form to be a false one. Once the blizzard ends, they decide to go to the Ice Peak Arena to have a rematch with Avalugg. Garrick is waiting for them as he says, Avalugg, mighty lord of the tundra, is ready to storm and rage mightily once again today, just as he did when he was struck by that odd lightning. Then he lets them do the rematch, and of course, Ash and Serena manage to win the match without taking any serious damage. They also throw the final bomb and calm it down. You pulled off quite the feat besting my lord, Avalugg, in battle. It seems this time, you and your muscles emerged victorious in 5 minutes. You gave it your all out there, so here's something from me. The same rewards as the others as Ash and Serena take them, and Garrick adds, seems you worked up a good sweat. Nice job. Thanks. After that, they find out there's nothing left to do as they head back to the camp. So you've finished checking the 3 areas you were charged with in the Icelands, Mai says. Adaman says, I've gotten word from Melly, too. Says he's about ready to wrap it up. Lien said he and Melly worked together to investigate the last outbreak. Arita adds. Well then, it seems we're done here. You've worked tirelessly to investigate all across Hisui, but we still don't know what causes these massive mass outbreaks. And they pose a threat to anyone without strong partners at their side. It'd be nice if these outbreaks didn't put anyone in danger, but things rarely work out that easily, Adaman says. Perhaps these outbreaks are someone's way of telling us that we must better understand the Pokemon with which we share vast Hisui, Arita says. Yeah. I could get behind that idea. Adaman says, and Ash and Serena are given 30 iron chunks, 20 castor fern, and 20 balls of mud in the end. But for now, we'd better get going if we want to make it on time, Adaman says. Come along, you 3, Arita says, and it causes Ash and Serena to be confused. Adaman and Arita drag Ash and Serena as they arrive at Obsidian Fieldlands once again. Ash asks, why are we here again? I don't know. Serena whispers back, I thought it was the last time we would visit Obsidian Fieldlands. This is the place, Arita says as they stop at the Highlands camp. Adaman says, and we picked the perfect time. They look up to the sky and see the sun rising up, much to their surprise. Serena says, it's beautiful. This lovely space, given to us by mighty Palkia, Arita says. And this fleeting time mighty Dialga gave us, Adaman says. Such a beautiful view is only possible because we have both, together, Mai says. Hisui means so much to me. My love for it is as vast as the land itself, Arita says. Tell me, Ash and Serena, Mai says, did you enjoy surveying this land once again? It sure was a lot of fun, Ash says as Pikachu nods in agreement. We still don't know what causes those massive mass outbreaks, but we can continue our search for answers, Mai says. Though we know for sure that Munchlax has the power to know the massive mass outbreaks, but how does he do that? Pokemon remain mysterious creatures to us. Who's to say how he does it? Mai asks. I'm just grateful to him for helping us find the outbreaks and telling us what we'll find at each. That reminds me. I've spread the word that the people of Hisui should be alert for massive mass outbreaks during rainstorms, Arita says. Thanks for that, Arita. Adaman says. Hopefully no more poor souls will wander into one unprepared and take a beating. Seems like our lives are going to keep on changing. And we'll keep adapting just as fast. An ever-changing Hisui, Mai says. Tell me, how do you think the future people of Hisui will live with Pokemon? They'll battle in gyms and contests. Ash says with a smile. That's what we are doing. After explaining what they are, Arita smiles and says, well, whatever may come of the future. Aren't we lucky to have been born into such fascinating, fast-changing times? You said it. Adaman smiles. Not that change is always good, and there'll always be people who don't want change at all. But hey, that's life. We'll just have to work hard and push on, and I'm glad we'll have you with us as we do it. Ash and Serena, thanks for everything. You certainly have some curious ideas. But I suppose that's no surprise, coming from someone who fell out of the sky. Mai says. We may have finished our investigations for now, but Munchlax and I will continue to help you however we can, Mai says. Ash and Serena nod. Mai continues, you know, Ash and Serena. Perhaps these new outbreaks truly are just a gift from Almighty Sinnoh. A gift meant for you. For all the good changes you've brought to all of us here in Hisui. Then they all watch the sun rising up together. Ash, Serena, Adaman, and Arita are now back at the Galaxy Hall, with Ingo greeting them. Welcome back, Ash and Serena, and fine work with your surveying. Pardon the imposition, but would you follow me to the training grounds? Ash and Serena nod as they follow Ingo, and they arrive at the training grounds, where Zissou and Kamado are also there. Kamado says, I called you here for one very specific reason. I wish to have you try your hand at a new form of Pokemon battle. What? Ash and Serena are confused. I used to think that Pokemon were terrifying creatures. You've helped me see otherwise. Thanks to you, there are some in this village who now enjoy battling with Pokemon. More and more of us now see Pokemon as allies. It is for that very reason that I would like you to continue to further your trailblazing. I believe that taking part in a new form of battle will help deepen our understanding of Pokemon. In the midst of a tough battle, what does your partner desire? And what is your opponent thinking? I believe that you have the ability to sense these things, and we will do our best to learn as well. This is quite a difficult request we have for you, but I'm sure you are up to the challenge. After that, Ingo explains to them about the Path of Solitude, which has them pick just one Pokemon and have them face off against a set team. Each Pokemon has got a specific opponent and the battles are designed to be tricky and work against the Pokemon they are using. And then the Path of Tenacity, as they face 3 opponents in a battle. They spend the whole morning doing these things, and then they decide to find Kajita. Ah, you've arrived. Kajita says as they see the group of 4 arrives. You now know much about Landorus, Tornadus, and even Thunderous. Well done. In more normal times, I would bid you let those 3 fly free as is their nature. But we are yet fresh from the tearing of the space-time rift. Until its after-effects fade entirely, perhaps it's better to keep our trio contained. And now, it is time to tell you the rest. What do you mean the rest? Serena asks. There is one more of that cohort. Kajita reveals, and it causes them to get surprised. What, a 4th one? Ash asks. And they look around to see a pink-colored genie with a snake as a scarf while sitting on the cloud appears. Ash and Serena can only look in surprise. This is our first meeting, Chosens of Arceus. I am Enamorous. The Pokemon bows. Enamorous? Ash asks. It is a Pokemon hailed as the Herald of Spring. She is not particularly given to ill behavior. But I imagine you'd like to document her for your Pokédex, wouldn't you? Catch her, then, if you like. She always flits about in the Crimson Mirelands. Just like my 3 brothers, if you want to get me, you'll have to chase me. Then she rushes off, causing them to groan. I thought the 3rd time's a charm, but we're doing the 4th time? Serena frowns. Let's go. I guess. Ash says as they go to the Crimson Mirelands. They rush to the Scarlet Bog as they do the same thing as the other forces of nature, and eventually they captured this Pokemon and record its data. Enamorous's research tasks. Number caught. 1 times you have seen it use extrasensory. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you have seen it use Springtide Storm. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use a strong style move. 1, 3, 6, 12, 25 times you've seen it use an agile style move. 1, 3, 8, 20, 40. Hisui Dex entry number 234 Enamorous. The love-hate Pokemon. Fairy and flying type. When it flies to this land from across the sea, the bitter winter comes to an end. According to legend, this Pokemon's love gives rise to the budding of fresh life across Hisui. Well, I've been caught. Enamorous shrugs, but that was fun. Fun for you, but not us. Ash mutters as they go back to the ancient retreat. Once they're there, Ash and Serena send out all 4 of the forces of nature. Landorus says, so you even capture our sister, well done. But seriously, are you sure it is the best idea to capture her? Thunderous asks. I agree. She is annoying sometimes, Tornadus replies. That's because you 2 are arguing the whole time, Enamorous says, with Landorus nodding. Aha. You've caught Enamorous as well, and you know much about her, Kajita says. Enamorous arrives in Hisui once winter has passed, hence the epithet Herald of Spring. Her company, when I have the pleasure, is of great help. She ferries me hither and yon across Hisui. But I'll leave her in your care for now, I suppose. Ash and Serena nod. Kajita says, here. This is the revealed glass. If you use it on Enamorus and her brethren, they will assume different forms. Oh my. Ash remembers how Giovanni was being controlled by this thing. Kajita says, you, Enamorus, and her brethren have something in common. You all tend to stir the pot of life. Do not mistake me. I mean this positively. If everything were straightforward, what meaning would there be in living as long as we do? Once there was a god of field, and once there was a god of spring. Upon Hisui's winds it wheeled, brought life to every growing thing. Was that how that old verse went? You're right. Ash says as he takes out old verse 17. Where go you when you are not here? Asked I one day the god of spring. No answer would it give me clear, but still did I have an inkling. There is no great dark truth untold, it simply does not like the cold. I have passed on to you all there is to pass. Where history goes from here, I leave to you and your companions to see through. Then they decide to record the Therian forms of every genie, and Ash and Serena are surprised to see that Enamorus looks like a turtle. Hisui Dex entry number 231 Tornadus, Therian form. The Cyclone Pokemon. Flying type. An example of what is known as a form change, though I suspect this strange avian guise to be Tornadus's true form. Tornadus has been sighted crossing the ocean while in this form. Hisui Dex entry number 232 Thunderous, Therian form. The Bolt Strike Pokemon. Electric and flying type. Quick as a flash, it materializes out of nowhere. It pulverizes foes into nothingness with showers of devastatingly powerful lightning bolts launched from the string of orbs on its tail. Hisui Dex entry number 233 Landorus, Therian form. The Abundance Pokemon. Ground and flying type. Landorus soars through the sky in this form, bestowing plentiful harvests upon the land and earning the people's reverence. It can traverse the whole of Hisui in a mere couple of hours. Hisui Dex entry number 234 Enamorus, Therian form. The Love-Hate Pokemon. Fairy and flying type. A different guise from its feminine humanoid form. From the clouds, it descends upon those who treat any form of life with disrespect and metes out wrathful, ruthless punishment. Once they are done, they go back to the Galaxy Hall, as they have to report their new status to Captain Silene. You have made progress. It seems you have earned yourself a star. Silene says as she gives them the final star for them. With this, you have officially attained the rank of full star in the Galaxy Expedition Team. I present you with these. She gives them 10 grit rocks and 10 rare candies as rewards, and then she says, you have reached the highest possible rank within the Galaxy Expedition Team. Continue to carry out all your duties with the dignity expected from one of your ranks. Ash and Serena smile as they thank Silene for the highest rank. That night, Ash and Serena are invited by Kamado and Silene to the top floor, as they look at the stars in the sky. Kamado says, so you two came. Yes. It is about time that we have to go back to our homes, Ash says, and Serena nods. Everyone is waiting for us, our friends, our Pokemon. I see. So it is the time. Kamado says. Ash and Serena, are you aware of why we named ourselves the Galaxy Expedition Team? No sir. We don't know, Serena says. You see, I am quite fond of likening things to stars. Such is how I describe the intellect and abilities of Silene and the others to our patrons. When explaining our plan to move to Hisui, I told them our members were as bright as shining stars. Hearing this, one of our patrons said to him, I see you have yourself a veritable galaxy, then. Perhaps to curry favor, the commander then said he would name us the Galaxy Expedition Team, Silene says. HRRM. That is. Not quite right, Silene. Kamado says, I also thought it was a fine name. Alas, the name will not live on forever. Once life here in the region settles down, the role of the Galaxy Team will end. And once we are no longer needed, it is only natural that our team will be disbanded. Are you sure you're fine with this? Ash asks with a sad tone. The important thing is that people learn to live in harmony with Pokemon in this vast land. Our name hardly matters. Is that not so? Kamado asks. I promise you. I will pass down the name of our team, and tales of its accomplishments, to all my descendants, Silene says. I see. I suppose that does sound like something you would do, Silene. Kamado says, Ash and Serena, forgive me for taking so much of your time. Please accept this as a sort of apology and a parting gift. They get a comet shard from the commander, Kamado says, despite having fallen from the sky into this land, you have not once hesitated to help us. For that, I thought you deserved to know the story behind our name. I have high hopes for your continued efforts to help the people and Pokemon. Ash and Serena nod as they leave the hall, then they get to the quarters, leaving the Pokédex and the letters on the table, and then they all head to Coronet Highlands. Delia was also with them, as she promised they all go home together. As they are at the Temple of Sinnoh, Serena blows the azure flute, blowing a strange melody that brings the stairs to the Hall of Origin. This is it, Ash says. Yeah, Serena adds. Do you think it is appropriate to leave without saying goodbye to us? They turn to see Adaman and Irida standing in front of them. Serena says, Adaman and Irida? I know the time has come for you two to go back. But we want to see you guys for the last time. Irida says, having tears in her eyes already. Don't worry, Arceus promised us that we can always come back to the Hisui region. Ash says. It is not like we won't be seeing each other again. Serena says, we promised that we will be back. Then they all share a final group hug, before Ash, Serena, and Delia all walk up the stairs and disappear out from Adaman and Irida's sight. Adaman says, and there they go. Yeah. Irida nods, but she can't help but miss them already as she cries into Adaman's arms. Adaman closes his eyes as he hugs back the leader of the Pearl Clan. As they get to the Hall of Origin, Arceus is waiting for them, and he says, you have done well to seek out all the Pokemon. You have also saved history, just like the ancient hero and the Pokemon walking beside him. To see such truths proven anew, beyond the bounds of time and space, bring joy to me. He looks down and says, I'm glad that I chose you two to call to this world. As you walk onward upon your own path, upon you and upon this creation where you now live, I bestow you a part of myself. I should walk this world together with you. Show me how it appears in my eyes. Ash and Serena gasp as they will be having Arceus at their party. Arceus says, before I return you to your home, please do me a favor. Then the arc phones start to glow as they turn into some sort of bombs. Arceus says, battle me, and prove to me your worth. Ash and Serena smile as they ready their bombs. You're on. When Professor Laventon and Akari find Ash and Serena's Pokédex in their emptied quarters, they look at the Pokédex and gasps, oh my, could it be? Ash and Serena finally did it. At long last, the Pokédex is well and truly complete. I've been dreaming of this moment ever since I started studying Pokemon. But Ash and Serena are not here anymore. Akari frowns, and so does Laventon. Yeah, I don't believe I'll ever be able to thank them enough for making my dream a reality. He shakes out his sadness and says, for now, though, we have an announcement to make. I'm sure everyone will be overjoyed to hear of the Pokédex's completion. Then they bring the whole Pokédex towards the Galaxy Hall, and Laventon gathered everyone to the Survey Corps office. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for gathering here at my behest. We've some rather special news to share, so please lend us your ears, if you'd be so kind. Today marks the fulfillment of a long-held dream of mine, and the fruition of the most earnest efforts of the entire Survey Corps. Yes, indeed, for, you see, the Pokédex, our corp's magnum opus, is finally, at long last, complete. A lot of people are gasping in shock as they can't believe it is true, while some of them rejoice in the completion of hard work. Laventon says, this fantastic achievement wouldn't have been possible if not for the hard work. No, the heroic efforts of our very own Ash and Serena. Sadly, they have returned to their own home. Everyone is sad from the news, and Laventon continues, from his quelling of the frenzied Lord Clever all the way up to his battles against Dialga and Palkia atop mighty Mount Coronet. They tirelessly surveyed the Pokemon of this land while facing perils of the sort that would send most of us running for the hills. All this has led to our accomplishing what can only be described as a remarkable triumph of human effort. The completion of a Pokédex. Kamado says, even though Ash and Serena are still very much mysterious strangers who fell from the sky. And I know not whether their actions were motivated by their own curiosity or a genuine desire to help the people of our village. But it doesn't matter. They have been a great asset to us, and I am truly grateful for everything they've done. Perhaps I should also study under the professor, so I might learn more about Pokemon. Silene is quite capable of handling the duties of commander, I am sure. Tonight's potato mochi are my treat. I'll make 'em extra tasty, Benny says, and everyone all walks towards the wallflower for the celebration of the great achievement. They also asks the Diamond Clan and the Pearl Clan to join the party. But unknown to them, after they leave the Galaxy Hall, the Pokédex is blown open and stops at a page. Arceus research tasks. Received a part of Arceus. 1. Hisui Dex entry number 238 Arceus. The Alpha Pokémon. Normal type. It is the heavenly fount from which pours the light that shines across Hisui. Its luminance guides and protects all Pokémon. Hisuian mythology states that Arceus is the creator of all things. While they are partying, Adaman and Irida are now standing in front of Ash and Serena's quarters. It has been a day since Ash and Serena left. Irida frowns. Yeah. They have truly impacted us a lot. From our clans continuing to fight each other, till now. Celebrating together. Adaman says. They have spent a lot of time helping everyone in need. Yeah. Irida says. But, I enjoy it all, not just with Ash and Serena, but traveling with you is also fun. I agree. Adaman says. Maybe the two of us can start our own journey in the Hisui region, or perhaps regions from a faraway place as well. What do you think? Irida smiles. That sounds like a great idea. I want to see how vast the world is. Then suddenly, the two of them hug each other and share a kiss. Nobody watches it as they are too busy with the party. Back in the real world, Ash and Serena are now back at Pallet Town. It has been 2 weeks since they come back home, and they are now at Professor Oak's lab, watching how their Pokémon getting along with each other, old and new. Some Pokémon like Charizard and Greninja are surprised to see Typhlosion's new forms as they challenge it to a battle, to which it agrees, and some of them like to play pranks with each other, like Zoroark and Gengar. It is after the battle with Arceus. Arceus gives them a special plate. The legendary plate, which enables Arceus to switch its typing automatically. Ash and Serena have returned to the Ether Foundation as they are finally face to face with the champions, their friends, and the Pokémon who are waiting for them. The first thing is to determine the fate of the murderers, and this is what Ash says. Since they try to kill me because of their greediness, I have a better punishment to give them, Ash says as he takes out Arceus, much to everyone's shock. The murderers see Arceus and they know that they have fucked up badly, and Arceus glows white light as the murderers disappeared. Don't worry, Arceus didn't kill them. They are sent back to the past. A place where I have been trying to do any means to survive, Ash says, as the others can only nod once Arceus is back to his Pokeball. Do you think they can survive in the Hisui region? Serena asks. I don't know, but I don't care about them anymore. They get what they've deserved. Nobody is going to help them out, after all, Ash says. So, do you think we should go back to Hisui? I am kind of missing them a lot. Serena asks. Sure. We'll go back and find Professor Laventon, Ash says as they all head back into the lab with smiles. No matter what space and time they're in, Ash and Serena will have a new journey awaits them. The end. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know your thoughts and reviews in the comment box. Now I will see you in the next video.